Welcome to All Gen Gamers, a podcast for people in video games of all generations. Starring Pete Dorr, Happy Console Gamer, Gamester81, and Jason Heine.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of All Gen Gamers. We're actually at episode 10 now. And our main hosts tonight are obviously Gamester81.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Pete, as Pete Dorr.
What's up, guys?
And Jason of the EMU Review.
What up, guys?
And we're really excited because we have Craig from ScrewAttacked here.
Hey, everybody. What's going on?
Now, the one thing I got to ask you, I know you have a nickname, Stuttering Craig.
Yeah.
I got to ask you, where's that from? How did that all start?
Yeah, you know, when I was a kid, I used to talk over myself like a heck of a lot. Talk really fast, just kind of get all excited and really just talk over myself. And it was more so mumbling, I suppose. And my mom was always like, you need to enunciate. And so I kind of stuttered, more so mumbled over myself quite a bit as a kid. And it's a lot easier to say stuttering Craig than it is to, and I do know that they mean kind of different things, but it's a lot easier to say stuttering Craig than it is to say talk over yourself a lot, Craig. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
so I decided to go that way.
But how did that catch on, though? How did that actually become like you're basically your name online? That's so weird because that's a personal thing for yourself as a kid. That's so weird that it would get translated onto online that way.
Yeah, you know, when we started ScrewAttacked, it was one of those things where, online's this great giant abyss of everybody. And we really wanted to kind of give ourselves a little bit of personality. And I got a very small radio background, to the point to where, I realized that there's Wacky John or, whoever online, and so I wanted to kind of give the personalities on the site just a little bit of a different feel than most websites and most people online. So we decided to go with, the stuttering Craig and, we have like a Jose El Mexicano. He's a Mexican guy, so things like that, just kind of give it, because there's lots of Craigs. So
I kind of thought that somebody had given it to you, that you had picked it up along the way or something. So I didn't actually know it was actually something from your childhood kind of thing. That's kind of cool.
Nope. All me.
Definitely.
Nope.
I think today what's going to be interesting is just to talk to you and find out about ScrewAttacked's history, just to find out kind of where it all started from and where it's kind of going, and all the future plans for it. So, because you guys got a lot of stuff, you get a lot of content, so much stuff. So, it'd be kind of good just for the audience just to start right back from the beginning. Like, what was your involvement? How did this even come to be?
Sure. Well, ScrewAttacked started I finished school in 2005, finished college, and I got done, and I left school saying, I'd really like to do something in sports. I love sports and I love video games. I love the two. And those have kind of always been my passions, sports and gaming. And it's kind of hard because, gamers traditionally don't like sports. Sports guys traditionally like Madden, and I'm a gamer, that's how I've always been. I like shmups. I like beat 'em ups. I like everything, and so they don't really cross over per se, it's kind of one of those things where I could say, well, I could go do, sports stuff and kind of work my way up a ladder and go work in, Podunk, Mississippi, and try to work your way up to a major market, or I could work for myself and try to start something on my own. And that's kind of the one thing I always wanted to do, was kind of work for myself and see, kind of make my own rules and such. So, in like late 2005, we started kind of conceptualizing the idea. The idea came starting with this newfangled thing called a podcast. We were like, we're going to start this radio show and we're going to do this thing on the radio online, and nobody's doing it and blah, blah, blah. Because, the internet to me was still, I like, really basic internet. I never really got on. YouTube wasn't around yet. It was still, the internet then wasn't what the internet is now, for sure. And upon doing a little bit of research, the idea was to start with a podcast, which is a podcast we're still doing today. It's called Side Scrollers. And it's kind of like, it started as a video game podcast where we talk video games. We do like little funny skits on it and such. Now it's more of like a ScrewAttacked podcast, things that we talk about, things that happen on a week to week basis, at ScrewAttack, kind of keep the ultimate insiders in on what's going on, on a day in the life of ScrewAttack. But, so we launched in February 2006, actually February 15th. So we're coming up on 5 years now, which is amazing just to think about.
Yeah.
And so we launched in February. And after a few months of doing our podcast and an occasional video, I came to the realization that I was like, it's really hard to do this with audio. You kind of got to, I don't know. I've always been a visual person, and I wanted to do something that kind of helped us stand out a little bit. So we started doing, we actually went on a trip to Mexico, and at this trip to Mexico, I had this like epiphany where it was so stupid. Like, we went down and we, at the time I was working with a guy named Tom, and we went down and we walked around downtown Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, with these like stupid luchador masks on and Speedo masks, right? Or Speedos and luchador masks. And it was like really stupid, but we made these videos out of it. They never even made the site, but I was like, this is fun. This is like just being dumb and stupid and making funny content and such. This is fun. And I was like, we should do this every day. So that's where we decided the decision was made. Okay, we're going to make something original every day and put it on the site. And you're not going to be able to find it anywhere else on the internet except for our site. And so we started producing our content. We knew we had kind of an interesting take on things, on the retro scene and such. We had a pretty vast, I guess library of intelligence, wrapped in our brain, from all the games we played growing up. So we started doing little videos called Video Game Vaults, which is a series that we're still doing today. And it just kind of spurred into videos and making fun videos and just being creative, and it forced us to be creative and different and just kind of go with whatever beaten path we wanted to go on. Which
did you guys have any? Sorry, Craig. Did you guys have any funding back then?
No.
Was it just like
that's hilarious?
Yeah, I know it is for sure. But I just had to ask. Like, this is stuff you're just doing in your part time, stuff that you want to do full time at this point?
Well, no. The thing about it is, my mindset from day one, from the second we launched in February, was this is my full time job. And I felt really strong that I could turn this into something I could do for a living. I just didn't know how. So what essentially we did was I spent the first year of ScrewAttack. It was essentially, we always called it like the World ScrewAttack headquarters. But the World ScrewAttack headquarters, the first year, was I was living at my parents' house and I was working on my mom's counter, my parents' counter. And I'm 25 years old. And we always, this is actually, I've never actually told anybody this. We always wanted to appear bigger than we already were. We always were. But it was one of those things where it was kind of like, when people hear you and they hear you talking, you always wanted to appear that you could compete with the big boys, the IGNs, the game trailers, whatever. And we knew that it got to the point to where I knew that we weren't, making money on the internet is like incredibly hard to do. It's, especially, ad revenue, especially in like the economy now, it's really hard. It's really tough to do because you can't, people are like, I'm going to make all these websites and I'm going to make so much money. It's not that easy. Unless you have traffic going to your site, you're not going to make any money. And, where like advertisers, they spend their money on the big boys, and then the rest of the money kind of trickles down to the other sites, and there's really only 3 or 4, big websites out there that these, companies spend their money on. And so the rest of the money just kind of gets trickled down through everybody else. So, I came to the realization, I was like, we're not going to be able to do this for a living unless we start putting our content out there to other folks. So, this was going on. This is about this time 4 years ago now. I guess, probably September. September was like the first time, towards the end of the summer, going into September, was the first time we really started fishing our content out and seeing if anybody was interested in it. And, like I said, like the internet was totally different than kind of what it is today. And we first fished it out to sites like IGN and game trailers, and just a ton of sites. It was just like emails. Hey, what? And this is stuff that I was doing throughout the day, and this is essentially, I would have a things to do list, and that I still do today. I have a list of everything I need to get done throughout the day, and I would just check them off. This is what I need to email. This is what I need to do. And we eventually got a bite from GameVideos.com, which was a part of the Ziff Davis network, which owned 1UP and all that stuff. And this guy named Mark McDonald, who has since left there, he's over in Japan now, who I actually saw for the first time since then, 3 weeks ago when I was at TGS. He gave us our first opportunity, and we did a couple top 10s for him. And we're like, okay, so we'll do this top 10s. And when we started, they knew they're interested in our content. I said, we want to make this stuff for you guys. And they're like, okay, cool. What do you want to do? So at the time, I kind of got everyone together, and it was like, okay, what do you want to do? And we had this idea for this game show. We had this idea for this, for this kind of like pimp my ride type thing, except it was more for like video game house, like a makeover type thing, pimp your game room type thing. Mm-hmm. Which we'd still like to do sometime. I think it'd be really cool to do. But eventually I was like, why don't we just do like a top 10? And I remember everyone was like, well, there are already top 10s online. And I was like, yeah, but there's not top 10s like we can do top 10s. Top 10s right now are really generic and they're lame. And so we wanted to do our top 10s differently and kind of give it a different spin and, do things that people hadn't done before, like top 10 douchebags and, top 10 boobies in gaming and things like that. And so we did, we started doing that stuff, and that kind of spurred, we did 2 of those, and the view counts on those were they caught online, they went viral. And I remember we were the first one that went live was top 10 video game secrets, I believe. And as soon as they said, hey, let's do this, and as soon as Game Videos was like, let's do this, I literally spent 40 out of the next 48 hours just working on the video, just writing it and scripting it. And I did 100% myself. And it was like, okay, it's done. And I remember I got it to them, and they're like, you turned that around really quick. And I was like, yeah, we work fast. I was trying to keep a professional thing. It was like, yeah, we work fast at ScrewAttack, and got it to them. And it was actually supposed to be like a pilot just to show them, but they liked it. So we just put it on the site, and I was like, okay, that was easy. I was expecting to do 2 other ones for them. But the view counts on those, they went viral, and the first one that went, we just kept reloading the page, and holy crap, look at the views. They keep going up. And it got up to 250,000 views. Wow. And it was like, this is amazing. So we did a second one, and it did comparable numbers. I think it did 225, something like that. And, about that time, we were working with Game Videos to do a thing. This is when the PlayStation 3 and the Wii were coming out. The Xbox 360 had come out a year earlier. And I wanted to do this thing called the launch line for charity. And the whole idea behind this was, okay, I'm going to stand in line for a week for the PlayStation 3. I'm going to put my spot in line on eBay, and everything I buy on eBay, and all the money is going to go to Child's Play, which is, you guys know what Child's Play is. It's the big charity that Any Arcade does. And we did that, and it was funny because a week before we did that, all of a sudden, ring, 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 Game Trailers comes calling, right? And they're like, hey, we saw your videos. Would you guys like to think about working together again? And it was it's one of those things where it's like, okay, they kind of saw the proof was kind of in the pudding with the numbers. So they kind of gave us a call, and they're like, hey, you guys want to work together? And they invited us to come out to Los Angeles to kind of talk to them. And this was right after Game Trailers was purchased by MTV Networks. And Trailers.
So I just wanted to talk about Game Trailers for a sec. They just actually hosted Game Trailers at that point, right?
Yeah, it was. What do you, in terms of what they actually host? Yeah,
I'm just trying to remember the original Game Trailers before they changed. Was they just hosted video game trailers,
exactly
here and there.
Yeah, exactly. And we were kind of their first big foray into the original content scene. Because they knew that kind of they needed something to. At least kind of the way it was explained to me, they wanted to do something to kind of separate themselves from other sites, and original content was kind of the way they wanted to go. But they invited us out to go to LA to go to this party, right? But it happened to be on the Wednesday, I was going to be on the line for this PlayStation 3, Monday through Friday. And the party was going to be on this Wednesday, right? And they're like, you guys want to come out? And I was like, I love to come out. but it's on the Wednesday that I'm going to be standing in line for this PlayStation 3 because I had already committed to game videos to do it. And I was like, oh yeah, but where's the party? What are you guys doing? Like, oh, it's at the Playboy Mansion.
Oh my God.
And the thing, I was like, son of a bitch. It's one of those things where you go, God, what are the odds of that? So,
were you single back then too, or?
Actually, I was in a relationship. They actually, you know what? That's 2005. No, actually, I was just ending a relationship. I was I was actually getting in the relationship I am with now, which is my wife. Yeah, it was one of those things where, it's like, how can you pass this up? So I sent Tom out there to go to this party, and, he like emails me these pictures of like these chicks and like naked and this.
It's purely torture for you, right?
Exactly. I'm like outstanding in the freaking cold, like it's frigid outside. I'm in this tent and, freezing my balls off. And this guy is, hanging out, drinking wine and looking at naked boobies all day. And it's like, that's awesome. But anyway, the long story short, we ended up striking a deal with Game Trailers, started working with them, and it's been a really good partnership for us. So I think that's how a lot of people know who we are through Game Trailers. So. Yeah,
and then they were bought after that by, what do you say, MTV or something?
They were actually bought by MTV prior to this. They bought, I think, if I recall, that just before that E3, if I remember that, because I remember they had a big booth at E3, and that was kind of like their coming out party that year in 2006. And late 2006 was when we started. Well, actually, at the beginning of 2007 was when we officially started working with them. But we started talking in late 2006. So we started doing video game vault to top 10s and angry video game nerd segments with them. And it's been really, really cool. So
how did you come up with the name ScrewAttack? How'd that come about?
Yeah, that's one of those things where when we were sitting down, we were like, okay, we want a name, and we didn't really know what we wanted to call our website. So we wanted to do something that was kind of niche in that if you were a gamer, you knew what it was. If you didn't know what a gamer was, if you didn't know what gaming was, you would have no idea what it was. So we were tossing about all sorts of names, and really we were just sitting at GoDaddy and typing in random video game terms that we knew. And I remember typing in random things like Red Ring with the intention of that being like a reference to Zelda, like the red ring you get in the original Legend of Zelda, and make yourself like super strong. But little do we know, like, a couple years later, the red ring means something totally different with the Xbox 360.
Yeah.
It's good that you didn't have that.
Yeah. So we tossed out a bunch of names, and really, I remember we were looking at ScrewAttack, and we typed in ScrewAttack, and we were just like, surely that's taken. Surely it is. Because to us, we've been fans of Metroid for, God, Metroid, Super Metroid's like my favorite game of all time. And, so we typed that in, we're like, oh, okay, ScrewAttack it is, and it ended up, it was, I wish I could say it was like, it was this godsend that came down, but it was one of those things where it's like, okay, ScrewAttack sounds cool. I like it, and the name itself has been kind of like it's a name that once people hear it, they know what it is. But if they don't know what it is, then they're like, like even people in the video game industry don't know what ScrewAttack is, which is pretty crazy, so.
It's kind of funny that you say, from Metroid or whatever. I just remember that the beginning of every video that you guys used to have the Metroid bit. You used to have that little theme of Metroid in there. And then all of a sudden it was gone. I'm guessing you were worried about copyright or something maybe, or...
Yeah. Well, that was one of the main reasons. The other reason was we just changed our website over, and we kind of wanted to go in like a different feel, different, just kind of a different thing. But the main reason, was copyright. I just didn't want to get sued by Nintendo, and and I do agree. I really wish we could use that. I think that was really, really cool, and it kind of gave our videos like a really cool feel. But I still, I really wish we could use that stuff to this day, but I like the riff we use right now. It's pretty cool.
They both work really well. Absolutely. For sure.
Thanks.
So
how did you guys come into a partnership with the Angry Video Game Nerd? How did that come about?
James is I remember when we just started out, I was looking for friends online, for other video producers online. And there weren't today there's video producers out the butt making videos about retro games, new games, old school games. YouTube has allowed everybody a voice to talk about games. But back then, there wasn't a whole lot of that. There was very few people online talking about, and I say it like back then, like it's like the Stone Age, but, but back then, there wasn't a whole lot. So when I was doing searches on YouTube, random searches, funny video game, things like that. And I came across James's videos, and at the time he only had like 2 or 3 videos out. And I was like, this guy, and they only had like 1,000 views on them. And I was like, are you kidding me? This guy is hilarious. And so we just started talking to him. I was like, hey, you want to work together? And he was like, sure. So we started working together on a really infant stage of Screw Attack and infant stage of like the Nerd, way before like the Nerd blew up into this internet phenom. And, it's been really cool. James is a super creative guy who really works hard on his videos, and he's just such a incredible talent that.
Oh, definitely. I think we can all agree to that.
Whenever he stops doing the Angry Video Game Nerd videos, he's going to be able to do, the AVGN is just like a means to an end for right now, because knowing the guy personally, I know that he has much bigger goal in mind, and I can't wait to see what he does when he does it. So,
well, the thing is I know he just announced the movie, because it was funny because I said it probably about a year and a half ago that I was making a movie, and I know of the trials and tribulations of that. So it was cool to see that he announced a movie. I really thought he'd go in that direction as well. It's really awesome. Now, does that movie have anything to do with Screw Attack?
Well, I pretty much what it has to do with Screw Attack is that I knew about it a couple years ago, and I didn't say anything. That's about what. As far as I know right now, I don't think we're going to be much involved. If we are, he hasn't told me about it, but I've known about the script for a while. I don't know if we're going to be involved. I'm sure we'll be involved on some level, but I don't know how yet. He's kept it fairly close to the vest. So.
Yeah. Because I remember what ended up happening is he kind of slowed down a little bit, right? I think he was doing videos every couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden he made an announcement that he had to slow down, type of thing. So I remember everybody's like, "Oh, is he retiring?" And I think that's what. Remember that? You heard all that stupid stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. And, like I said, James, the amount of time he spends on his videos is astronomical. I mean, he spends 40 hours on one video,
definitely.
So, 40 to 60 hours. And I mean, you think about that, and the thing is, he knows what he's doing too. I mean, he's got a film background. He knows how to shoot his stuff and make it look good. I mean, there's in all his videos, he's got shot sequencing and it's well lit, it's well produced. He takes the next level with all his videos. So, producing one every 2 weeks is hard, which means
definitely.
If you're doing something, it's there's a lot of filming, editing, color correction, the whole shebang. I mean, he really takes the next step. So him slowing down was something I saw coming from a mile away, and I think it's well warranted because the guy bust his butt, and I realized a lot of his fans were like, "Oh shit, man, are you retiring?" And all this must got to be the end for the Nerd. And yeah, I mean, the internet. Anytime anything changes at all, people flip. So
well, it's really funny. He'll put out a video, and then somebody will post something like, "When's the next video out?" And it's like, nobody understands the process of making videos. It's huge. They just see the finished product and they judge it. But they don't know that somebody's sitting in the dark for, as you say, for James, his videos takes him 40 hours. He's sitting in the dark for 40 hours doing that, and it's hard. And, it's not always enjoyable. And what if he's sick that day? All these kinds of things come into it.
Well, the internet is a place of instant satisfaction, and it's one of those things where, okay, it's amazing to me that we live in a world now that somebody can say, "Oh, that's old news," and it happened yesterday. Where not 10 years ago, people, the news consisted of your news at 6 o'clock at night, and I say 10 years, 2000, 2001. And I realized the technology was changing a lot back then, but 20 years ago, the news consisted of your 6 o'clock news at night, 7 o'clock news, whatever. And it's just crazy to think that there's such an insatiable thirst for I need it now, right now. I saw it 3 hours ago. It's old. I don't care about it now. And if I saw it yesterday, I forgot about it already. So
yeah, I just, even in general, I think kids playing video games these days, sometimes they're playing so many different games that they're not falling in love with one series, or, I see that they're all over the place a lot of times. It's back when back before the internet, you get a couple of games and you had to finish them. That's all you had, and you had to kind of get your money's worth out of it. Where I think a lot of younger guys now are just like, oh yeah, they just play a game for a couple hours, throw it down, and go online, watch the video for half, a little bit, turn it off. Very, very much that way. I won't call it scatterbrained as much as I'll call it attention deficit disorder, for kids, a lot of kids out there. And I'm not saying everybody. I'm definitely not saying everybody, but there's bad mentalities out there. And I even think it with myself. I even find it for myself these days is that I go on, I check out a little bit of this video, I check out this, and I play a bit of this game. I'm having a harder time dedicating my time fully to something. And I think it's just because we're surrounded by so much media. It's incredible.
Yeah, I agree. And it's one of those things where I'm kind of on the same boat where I go, holy cow, how can people not just sit down and relax for a few minutes and just enjoy what's happening, or enjoy this game for, this amount of time, whatever. But the truth of the matter is you're right. There is so much technology. I mean, like you said, I find myself, I'll be in my car and I'll want to check my email on my iPhone. I'm sorry, what? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why do you need to check your email on, in your car? That's the dumbest thing ever. And I'm doing it. So like I've had to like catch myself several times and be like, okay, this can wait, dude. And as far as video games go, there's just so many that are produced nowadays, and they're just just look at this upcoming month. Look at how many good games there's coming out. We have NBA Jam, which came out. We got Medal of Honor. We got Kirby. We got The Force Unleashed, Splatterhouse,
Castlevania. Oh man, I know.
It's like that. There's so many games coming out. So anybody who pretends that they're an expert at video games is total bullshit, because there's no way that you can know everything that's coming out right now and have played everything. And it's one of those things where, early on I was like, okay, I need to know everything. I need to know everything that's about everything. And you just realize that's impossible.
You can't anymore. But do you remember back in the late 80s, early 90s, you could actually keep track of what was coming out. I remember looking at the Genesis release schedule, and I had them all memorized what was coming out. But nowadays, it's impossible. It's totally insane. Well,
especially in the holiday season. This is a busy time of year for games as well. But yeah, you're right, Johnny.
It just seems like there's so much these days.
For sure.
It's a good time to be a gamer. For sure.
Yeah, there's so many companies. There's so many companies, and there's so many people. The market has grown. If I can get all businessy on you, the market's grown. They say video games are recession proof. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and companies see that. There's schools to learn how to make video games now. I mean, that's crazy. That's cool. But it's only going to get worse. There's going to be like. You look at a game, give me a game that was released in May. Can you name one? I can't. Like when Super Mario Galaxy 2 was released this year. It seems like it was ancient. It seems ancient to today. That's a sequel to one of the best games ever.
It's true. Yeah, I'm actually playing that right now, and it's over. The time for Super Mario Galaxy 2 is over. Everybody's talking about something new, where everybody should be sitting and savoring Super Mario Galaxy 2 because it's so amazing. But with the thing, stuff going so fast these days, you don't have a chance to do that.
Oh my gosh. And the funny thing about it is, we got a guy in our office, Ben, who Ben is a big, he loves the old school stuff. He loves Mario and such. And he didn't like Mario Galaxy 2 because it was too much of Mario Galaxy 1. So since when is that a bad thing? Like
the first, I know. The first game was excellent, and the second game is excellent. So I don't know how that's a bad thing, for sure.
People, there's so much. Reviewers nowadays, they put so much of an emphasis on, well, what's been changed? What's been added to this game? What kind of innovation has been added? And I realize that there's always been this thing about, how can we one up what we've done before? I understand that. And, you saw that a lot with old school series in the 80s and even in the 90s with series, games like, even Mario. Mario, Mario for the US audience, they came out with Mario 2, Doki Doki Panic, which, and the Castlevania series, Castlevania 2 was so drastic than the original Castlevania because everyone was trying to figure out what they could do to one up themselves or add a little innovation. So that's always been there, but it just seems like there's such a premium put on it nowadays. And that if like a game that is similar to the first game is released, well, it sucks because it's not original anymore.
Or if it doesn't have online, it's automatically a bad game. What do you mean it doesn't have online capabilities?
Yeah.
It's automatically a bad game. What do you mean it doesn't have co-op? Every game has to have co-op, at some point these days as well. So definitely true.
Craig, what systems did you grow up playing?
I grew up, I really got into gaming during the NES. NES, Super Nintendo is my favorite console of all time, by far. I grew up looking at the TurboGrafx 16 from afar, saying, "Wow, that's really cool. I would love to do that and try that sometime." And I never really got to try it other than like the demo kiosks at Toys R Us and such. I played Genesis. I never owned a Genesis, but I played the Genesis quite a bit at a friend's house. I got a pretty good grasp of the old schools. The 64 console was kind of like I had like a 2 or 3 year period where I was in high school and I didn't get a whole lot of time to play because I was concentrating on basketball and things like that. So the 64, probably there's about a 3 year period where I didn't get a whole lot of time with the 64. So there's a lot of 64 games that I just don't know a whole lot about that I'm trying to re-educate myself on. And but I got back into it during the GameCube and and kind of then on out. So I would say my primary console is definitely the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, because then the times are changing so fast. Then it's like you took a break from the 64, and then all of a sudden, when you came back into it, it was like, oh, here's a GameCube, and here's a PlayStation, and here's all these newer consoles. So it's like, why would you want to, in retrospect, go back, at the time?
Yeah. Well, if you really even think about it, if you look at like the timeline of releases and such, there's, consoles came out, the console cycle in terms of when they were released and such really is not that different from today. It just seems like we just didn't have the same outlets as we do today, and time moved slower back then. So it seemed like things were so much longer, I suppose. I got my first NES in 1986 or something like that, and in 1990, 91, 92, I guess is when I got my Super Nintendo. So, that's 5, 6, 7 years or whatever, but 5, 6, 7 years to a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old is a lot different than 5, 6, 7 years to a 25-year-old. You know what I mean? Time moves a lot faster when you're older, and it's just a different time frame. So, it definitely is crazy that there's so much out there right now.
It's also interesting. The games coming out now are more kind of got a retro feel, like Sonic 4, and they're coming out with GoldenEye for the Wii. It's interesting that they're definitely kind of going back to their roots. It seems like so.
Yeah, and I like to think that I know this is really kind of like. I like to think that ScrewAttack's played a small, tiny little role and just kind of like the retro thing kind of coming back a little bit. Because, we do this Video Game Vault series and everybody on YouTube, I think the YouTube audience of just everybody, the retro scene, and I think that's played a big role in the retro games coming back. And companies realizing that there is still an outlet for that stuff. And for me personally, my favorite console right now is Xbox Live Arcade. And I know that it's on the Xbox 360, but I just love the fact that you can download games for $15. And they're essentially same games that I bought, same type of games that I bought for $50 and $60 back in the day, Yeah. And they're just as long, but they're cheap because they're considered, they're not considered AAA titles anymore. Sonic 4, you get that for $15. That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, kids are spoiled these days, eh? Like when I was a kid, what I wouldn't have done for a PlayStation 3, because it has everything I would need in there.
And you don't need to get up off the couch to switch a cartridge, plug in another controller. Everything's wireless. Man, think about it. When you put that in perspective.
Old, man. Yeah, we're so
that's what happens when you get older, though.
Back in the day.
Yeah. It is crazy. Just, even with Kinect coming out, and I've been outspoken that I think Kinect's just an absolute joke, but I do think the technology is really cool. I do think it's going to sell, worst of all, but the technology there is insane. Just the idea that you could sit on your ass, not even hold a controller, and go to your video game or whatever, and play it. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna all have to see how that pans out, because I'm not completely sold on it either yet. I'm waiting to see what happens. I guess, what games are going to come out that will entice me. Some more hardcore types of games.
Child of Eden for me.
Yeah. Which game?
Child of Eden, basically the spiritual successor to Rez. I can't wait for that game coming out next year. Did you guys, any of you ever play Rez at all?
Yeah.
Did you ever play Rez with the trans vibrator though?
No, I didn't. But I know what it is. Yeah, I never got a hold of one though. But honestly, though, when it came out on, well, here's the thing too. On my PS2, the vibration was actually broken on my system itself. Like the controllers had vibration, but something went wrong in the system. So I was playing Rez for the longest time without vibration. So when it finally got ported to the 360. I was in heaven with my vibration on there. It's a different experience with it on there. And, that's back when I had to, I discovered Rez on a demo disc on like one of those PlayStation 2 demo discs in the magazines. And
compilation.
I remember going on eBay and it's like $100 for Rez. And I'm like, God damn, but it was so worth it. That was some of the best $100 I ever spent to get a copy of that game. Never looked back.
Nice.
So naturally, Child of Eden, I can't wait for it.
It'll be interesting to see how that comes out, how it plays on the. I mean, you obviously get a good idea of how it's going to play on the Kinect, but I don't know. I think the big question is: would you buy a Kinect just for that? Yeah, you paid $100 for Rez, but are you willing to pay $250 for Kinect and the money for the game?
Mm-hmm. Me, yes, but other people, no, definitely not. Like, I mean, they're going to have to come out with a lot more game. Like, I will buy it. If nothing comes out until Child of Eden that I'm interested in, I will buy a Kinect for Child of Eden. Because I was just that big of a Rez fan. But, I'm just wondering how are they going to do like hardcore games? Like they're announcing a lot of the publishers and developers and stuff saying, oh, we're doing a new Silent Hill game and stuff like that. It's like, how the hell are they going to pull that off? I'm just really interested,
Yeah.
How are they going to deal with movement in a 3D space? People are like, oh, you're going to walk. Oh, go ahead, John.
Oh, I'm sorry, Pete. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, it's kind of ironic that, you see the Wii kind of moving into games like Donkey Kong Country, Epic Mickey, where it's more classic controller. So you can use that NBA Jam. And then you see Sony and Microsoft going in wireless motion controls. They kind
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
I haven't thought of that, because the Wii has actually been moving away, a lot of its big release titles away from the motion controller, Mario Galaxy 2.
Yeah, and I think what they're doing is Nintendo was so ahead of the curve with the motion thing. And if you remember back when the Wii was first released, the line at E3 was 6 hours long to see that thing. And it was such a big deal. And people were so crazy over the Wii, us included. And then it came out and it was like, wow, this is really cool. And then the novelty wore off. And, people, the gesture thing kind of became a joke. And people realized that Wii Sports was the greatest tech demo in history. And, and what Nintendo's done is they've saturated such an audience to where, nursing homes are, playing Wii bowling and such, and where you got such a vast audience that has already bought their console. They've kind of realized, especially after not last year's, but the year before, or not this year's, but last year's E3 press conference where they were talking about that stupid vitality sensor. And I mean, they might as well got booed off the stage. I think that was kind of like the last straw for a lot of gamers. I remember saying after that, I was like, Nintendo is not a video game console anymore. The Wii is not a video game console anymore. No. It's just some piece of crap. So, so then they came out this year and they were like, "Whoa! Guess what you got coming on the way? You got you got this epic Mickey, and you got all these old school return to classics, Donkey Kong and NBA Jam and blah 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 blah, and then all of a sudden it was like, whoa, 180 from last year. Nintendo's awesome. And then you saw with Sony and Microsoft, they're like, okay, so Nintendo made all this money 4 years ago. It's time for us to do it too, but we need to come out with something better. And Sony came out with a Wii.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they waited so long to make the move. It was kind of strange that they waited so long to get into it.
Yeah. It's
a little too late.
I think that a lot of the natural audience who see the move are going to say the exact same thing that we did. Oh, that's a Wii knockoff. And I think the people who are interested in the Kinect are going to say, oh, it's really cool technology. Whoa, $250.
It is a lot of money for sure.
It's
a lot of money to jump in on for sure.
Yeah. So
it's gonna be really funny. Actually, it's gonna be humorous to see where it all goes. I'm really curious in the next couple of years. Will it die off? Will it be like the PlayStation Eye toy and there's the Eye of Judgment? Remember all that? That kind of came and went, and that was supposed to be a big innovation. So I wonder.
I'm still waiting for virtual reality to come back from the 90s. Whatever happened to that?
Get Lawnmower Man coming.
Oh my god!
Nice.
Yeah.
It's going to be all behind the marketing, though. So in the Best Buys, they have a huge ass 8-foot long ad, like big banner in the aisle where the Kinect is going to be. Like, that's the kind of stuff they have to do. They're actually taking up like 2 4-foot sections to advertise the release of the Kinect. Like, that's the kind of stuff they have to do. They got to start getting the commercials out there now. I really don't think and Microsoft has said they're going to rely a lot on word of mouth, which I don't think is the way to go.
How much is the bundle? How much is the bundle going to go for with the system?
4 gig 360 with Kinect is going to be $300, and then the 250 with the Kinect is going to be. Is there? Yeah, there's going to be a 250 gig, right, with the Kinect. It's going to be like what, 400? I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure.
It's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money, especially if you already have a 360
and a Wii
or a broken 360, Wii, John, right?
Yeah. What's that?
Or a couple of broken 360s.
Yeah, I'm on my 5th one or 6th one now.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
So you put that in perspective. You're like, ooh, gosh.
Yeah, that's good.
John, you're going to pick one up day one, right?
I most likely will. Yeah, I'll probably.
What are you going to buy for it though on day one? Like what?
Does it come bundled with any games or anything? No.
Kinect Adventure if you feel like jumping around in your living room, but hey, who knows? It could be fun.
Yeah, I don't know.
Are you gonna get Kinect Animals or whatever it's called and make a little tiger?
Yeah.
And you're gonna have a little tiger pet, and in the morning you can go and play with it. And you should just, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I remember like a year ago seeing the demo for the Natal, and I'm sure you guys seen the same demo, but it looked sweet. They had that girl like interacting with that kid, and
yeah.
Where's all
Milo.
that?
Oh my!
Supposedly they're putting. Yeah, they're gonna put it in the Fable 3 supposously, that technology.
The Milo tech demo, that's what. Yeah, the tech demo thing with Milo that got canceled. And they're supposed to be putting like all that technology actually into Fable 3, but that technology scared the crap out of us. So much so, we did a top 10 headlines of 2010, except we did it in January, so we were kind of like predicting the headlines of 2010. And it's funny that like 8 out of the 10 things we predicted, we just are like coming true because we just wanted to meet so ridiculous and over the top. But the number one thing on that list was Milo and Project Natal, which was what it was called originally, was going to take over the world like Skynet. And I truly believe that's Microsoft's plan in the long run.
I thought that demo got like how do I say it? The screen was pulled off it in the sense that it was all faked. That's what I heard. I heard it was all like mirror and lights type of thing and smoke or whatever. It was totally a lie demo.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what all that stuff is. When they go do that stuff, it's all pre-recorded and it's just timed actors doing stuff to a beat or whatever. It's whatever. Mm-hmm. So
they were saying though it was all programmed. Obviously they were saying that, but then I remember after that them saying no, it was all it was found out to be bullshit. And I was like, really? I was so disappointed. I really wanted that to be that good. I'm like, wow, are we really at that point now? And we weren't. So it was kind of sad for sure.
Yeah.
They just want to plant the seed, basically, and put the idea in your head of, here's this concept, and then you run with it. as we sit and wait. And that does suck that it was all canned pretty much.
Okay, so let's get back to Screw Attack questions here. There's so much stuff. So, man, you guys have made so much content, and you have so many content providers. You brought in a whole bunch of new people onto the site.
Yeah. So we were working with game trailers for about a year, and that's kind of when one of the big moments in kind of Screw Attack happened. In March of 2008, the guy I originally started the site with, we kind of parted ways. And it was kind of a big deal at the time, and people still like are stuck on it for some reason. And people, it's definitely a line of demarcation in the sand of kind of when Screw Attack changed. And it's one of those things where if we had continued down the road of where we were and on the way we were going, and that change wasn't made, like I would be doing something totally different right now, and Screw Attack wouldn't exist. So we kind of went in our own directions, and that was it was refreshing for me because I kind of had like a new leash on Screw Attack and kind of had a clear direction of kind of where I wanted to take it. And so we went, and I brought in some new staff at Screw Attack, and we started some new shows. I brought in Destin, who is currently our host of Hard News, which was the first daily news recap show on the internet. And then it was that format was quickly copied by IGN and other sites. So that was pretty cool. It was like a nice little tip in our cap or whatever.
We were the first guys to do that. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. We were the first to do like a daily news recap, and admittedly it sucked back in the day, but the format was there, and that was cool. So so we did that. We brought in Corey and So our staff started to grow, and we started doing new things. And we had the idea that we wanted to do like a video game convention. So we did a video game. We did this thing called SGC, and we've done that the last couple of years. And it's our gaming con.
No, whereabouts is that? Because I was going to get into that a bit later on, but definitely if you're bringing it up now, where do you guys host that at? Where can people go to this at?
Sure. Well, we did it last year in Dallas. We do it in July every year. This year, it's looking like the last couple of years has been on July 4th weekend, and the tagline's been like "Celebrate your gaming independence," and that was kind of the catchy thing. But we're going to be moving it away from July 4th this year, simply because we found that a lot of our audience, a lot of the people who come to the convention are international. I mean, we had like 1,000 people last year, and and I would say like 70% came from overseas. So like that, what that says is like a lot of the American audience can't come to it because it's on July 4th weekend, So we're going to be moving the dates, and what we think that's going to really help with attendance and kind of take it to the next level. But we've done some really cool things with that. And, this last year we debuted Sonic 4, like playable for the first time, as a mystery game in our tournament we do every year. And that was really, really cool. That was an amazing moment for me personally.
Yeah.
So we did we've done SGC, and SGC was really, really cool. And we actually own and operate a video game store here in Dallas as well, which is really fun, and it's fun and crazy at the same time. Just to think,
it's a lot of hard work, isn't it? People think of video game store, they think, oh wow, that's fun, because I know you came to the Game Deals party, and I know you're talking to Brian, who owns Game Deals, and I go to that store every day because it's actually attached to my building. And nice. So I actually go down, and so I see the days when it's dead, I see the days when it's crazy, and I see the middle days when nothing's going on. So I've definitely seen the not so fun side of having a video game store. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge for sure. So really, the thing that we've done over the last few years is we've really tried to make ourselves more than just a content producer online. Even though it's like still our bread and butter, we kind of wanted to diversify the business, because a lot of people don't realize that the Screw Attack is 100% about fun and video games and keeping true to the gaming thing. But it's a business. I mean, it really is. And
it has to be.
Exactly. It has to be.
How many employees do you guys have right now?
Well, at our office, we have, I think we have 8 right now at our office. And then from the store side of things, we have 6. So a total of anywhere between 14 and 16, I believe, at any given time. So,
but never mind content providers like the Angry Video Game Nerd and
how do you
go about? I'm sorry to interrupt. How do you go about finding your partner shows, Craig?
Well, when you started out, I really dug and tried to find some really good, talented people, and I still do dig. But a lot of times last year or 2 years ago, we did a thing called the My Vids Don't Suck contest. And that was really fun, where we kind of gave the opportunity to 8 different content producers the opportunity to kind of be a feature on the site. And the winner would be rewarded with kind of being a feature on ScrewAttack. And the winner was the Game Overthinker. And he's kind of this controversial I don't know. He kind of stands on a soapbox and talks about things. It makes people. He definitely sparks interest when he talks. He's really well thought out and such. So, but a lot of I know Nathan with Talking Classics. He was actually introduced to ScrewAttack through one of his buddies, and his buddy, he just started his series, and his buddy had been going to ScrewAttack for a long time. He's like, hey, you should probably send this over to Craig at ScrewAttack, and he sent it over to me, and I was like, dude, this is genius stuff. And when he started, he didn't really have a direction, and with the series, and we kind of talked a little bit, and by all means, I mean, Nathan takes it and runs with it, but he was kind of looking for a little bit of direction, and we kind of provided a little bit, and he kind of saw the light and kind of turned.
His stuff is wild, eh? It is absolutely untamed wildness, and it's awesome.
I love kind of the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type of thing that he has going on, where in his videos he's kind of like calm and laid back, but when he goes to like live events, when he's at SGC, he is he's like an untamed beast taken out of a cage, where he's just like nonstop, just like.
What was that video I saw where he got kicked out? He got kicked out of E3?
He got kicked. He's been kicked out of E3. He's been kicked out of Comic-Con. Because people just can't handle it,
Oh yeah, that's right. Comic-Con, he went up to James Cameron and was it Peter Jackson with that laser gun or something? Yeah,
he went up there. He went up there asking for water, and he was just asking for water, and he got escorted off stage. He said that was the first and only time he's been beat up for doing what he's been doing. They beat him up for going.
They actually beat him up, how badly of a beat,
No, it wasn't that bad. I think he just got hit in the face or something, and they knocked off his glasses. So he was just like, it was totally worth it, man. It was like, I remember I saw like on Twitter or Facebook or something. He's like, I just got kicked out of Comic-Con, and Chad, our merchandise guy, he said, hey, I just saw Nathan's post on Facebook. He just got kicked out of Comic-Con. So I pick up my phone, and Nathan, what happened? It's one of those things where you go, dude, what's going on? And he's like, oh, nothing, just got kicked out of Comic-Con. He's so laissez-faire about it. He's so great, and the best thing is he's got some things in the works right now that are just going to be huge for Talking Classics and ScrewAttack. I can't wait. It's really, really big stuff.
Yeah, and I was down at PAX, and you guys announced that you're going to have Mega 64 on. They're doing some exclusive content for you guys as well.
Well, he's going to be Mega 64 is going to be on GT. They're going to be doing some stuff with GT, and we're definitely fans of Mega 64. They do awesome stuff, and they were kind of they were really kind of the first real trailblazers of like internet video.
Definitely.
And they kind of set the bar. I mean, they're some really, really smart guys. And I know their stuff comes off as really kind of juvenile and such, but it's so funny to watch. And they know what they do, and they're really smart about it. And we're definitely going to have them at SGC this year for sure. It's going to be really cool.
Yeah, it's funny thinking back to those guys. Like their stuff was the first stuff that I remember going. Somebody would say, "Oh, you got to check out this video," and it was like the first 2 they ever made. And so you'd actually go to Mega 64, and you're like, "Who are these guys?" Wild stuff, and they went viral. Like they deserve all the success they have for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And doing their they've done commercials for things and for different video games and such.
Hold on. Some bad feedback.
Hold on. Yeah.
Yeah. What is that?
What's that?
Try unplugging your mic. Yeah, your mic's like really messed up.
So you want me to give it another whirl? Okay, hold on a sec.
How are we doing now?
Hold on a sec. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Sounds beautiful.
Is it better?
Yeah, definitely.
sounds good.
It was all staticky. Okay.
Okay.
Pick it up again. Sorry.
But we're better.
I thought it was like some feedback from me. I'm like, holy shit.
I did too. I'm all turning on my speaker and shit.
I was hoping it would clear itself up real quick, but nope. Okay. Go ahead.
So Mega 64 is good.
Damn.
I guess that's how we'll wrap it up.
Geez, I'm just thinking what direction to go.
Some of my favorite episodes you have, I just love your top 10s. And it's cool to hear that, they go back to the roots of ScrewAttack and what your original plans were to do, when you were conceiving it all. Hey, let's do a top 10, not like anyone else. Let's do our own top 10s. And that's funny. Those are the ones that I just really enjoy them.
Yeah, thanks. And those are definitely the ones that we spend the most time on a day-to-day, on a week-to-week basis. We currently do 2 a month, and coming up with ideas from are really hard sometimes. We try to stay away from non-traditional ones. We've done, top 10 NES games. We've done that stuff. And those are more so just out of, people asking for them. Probably the most requested one we get is top 10 N64 games. And we get that one like a lot. Hey, we do this one. I want to see what you guys have to think about it. So we really try to kind of give I know our next one coming up, the next top 10 we have coming up is actually, I'm looking at the script right in front of me right now, is the top 10 local multiplayer games for consoles. I would say multiplayer games, but it's different. It's different now because there's
sure.
It's local. There's local player. There's local multiplayer. Now there's online multiplayer. So we're just doing this will eventually spawn into 4 separate lists. It'll be top 10 local multiplayer games for consoles, top 10 local multiplayer games for PCs, top 10 online multiplayer games for consoles, and top 10 online games for PCs. So we actually have 4 lists. Eventually, someday we'll do. So I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think's on the list? Because I have the list in front of me. It's actually being done. It'll be done this weekend. But
my guess would be GoldenEye.
Yeah, I know GoldenEye's on there for somewhere up there, and at least top 5, maybe even top 3.
GoldenEye's on the list.
I expect to see Diddy Kong Racing on there. No.
Oh, it's a good one, but I don't know.
I love that game.
That may be noteworthy in the intro. That may be something where we show footage of it in the intro to acknowledge that we've actually acknowledged it.
Honorable mention. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Snowboard Kids?
That's also a really good one. Might be intro worthy. I see. The thing is, when we were putting down our list, when we were doing this list, it's tough.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's so many games that we want to include. I mean, we could do a top 30 on this thing, but the job is to narrow it down to top 10. So we're going to narrow it down to top 10. So, and plus the top 10, the title's so damn long anyways. Top 10 local multiplayer games for consoles. We don't want it to be like top 10 local multiplayer games for consoles, numbers 20 through 10, and then 10 through, and then have to wait 2 weeks to see it again, to see the top 10. So, I'm
sorry. I thought you were talking about top 10 and 64 games. Hell no.
No, we were
those
just
2 games. Yeah. Forget those 2 games.
How about
of course, Smash Brothers.
Oh yeah.
Smash is good. Yeah. Smash is, well, which version though? That's the thing. You gotta break it down to which version.
Melee.
Well,
is,
yeah, because Brawl, introduced the online concept. So, I mean, that could be 2 different categories.
Definitely. I think you got 2 that are fairly high on our list for sure.
How about Contra? Is Contra on the list?
Contra is a good game, but it's, if you really think about it, it's a trailblazer for sure. It's a trailblazer in that there weren't many games on the NES that were that had that type of multiplayer aspect to it. But in terms of an actual like party atmosphere, it's one of those things where there were a few other games that were high on the list. So
you have to have some kind of version of Bomberman on there, right?
Bomberman was tough. We had, I'll tell you this, Bomberman is one of those games where I think it was Bomberman 2 or it was one of them, Super Bomberman or something. We had one of them that I can tell you right now, Bomberman is not on the list, and that was one of the hardest ones that we had to cut by far. And that for me is like number 11. And yeah, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. But when you hear the games that are on this list, you're going to be like, okay, every single one of those is justified. Because when we do a top 10, that's like the hardest part, is that we just need to justify why everything is on the list. You know, because you know the internet. The internet's like, oh, that's not right. This list sucks. Oh, yeah, so you know, it's one of those things where that's the beautiful thing about top 10s. Everybody's is different.
I played Super Bomberman on my Super NES with that multi-tap for months with my friends. Months. That is a classic game.
I love that game. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Super addictive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's going to be a good list. Exactly. And exactly what we're doing right now. That's exactly why top 10s are great, because they spur conversation and they make people talk about the games, which is great. You know, that's one of the best things about doing top 10 lists about old school games is, you know, even, you know, games that require you to be with a buddy, is that they make you talk about the games. So,
yeah. Absolutely. So what's kind of cool is we're all talking about video games, but we also know that you guys have come out with a video game.
Yeah,
and I saw that. The first time I actually saw that, you kind of announced, like, you didn't announce it, but I saw on your Facebook as a status update, and I'm like, really? So I had to go check it out, and I have to download the game. I will download the game, but I just heard about it the other day. And it's typing of the bread? Am I correct?
Well, it's called texting of the bread. Yeah, you're close. Texting
my God, the bread. Let's say I can. How about I redo that? I don't want to get that fucked up.
No, it's
texting of the bread.
Yeah,
right?
texting of the bread. I'm a huge fan of Typing of the Dead, and really, what we wanted to do was make an homage to one of my personal favorite games. I love that Typing of the Dead was just so ridiculous and over the top, and just the idea that they're running around with keyboards on their chest and typing words to destroy zombies is like hilarious to me. So, you know, one day I just had this idea for this game, and I was like, you know, for this texting game involving gingerbread, and like I wanted to make a game that was like equally as ridiculous, or at least the premise was just as ridiculous, you know. So yeah, we released this, came up with this concept, and then brought it to these guys, this company called Control Chaos, and said, listen, this is what I want to do. You know, do you guys think you can make this? And they're like, oh, I think so. We haven't heard anything like, there's nothing like this on the iPhone store right now. And that's kind of like something that I really wanted to kind of push, because I hadn't seen anything on the iPhone like that at all either. So I was like, that's pretty cool. I'd never seen a texting game. So we
I saw it. I quickly went and checked out the trailer. I'm like, this is crazy. Yeah, you know, like it was just such a wild concept.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of the idea, is we wanted to make it just ridiculous and fun, and you know, something you could pick up and play for a few minutes at a time and put down, or if you wanted to go for even longer, you can. I mean, we put ridiculous replay value in the game. You can get for the game's $1.99, and that's like, you know, that's the price. That's the average price for an iPhone game or whatever. And it's $1.99, and you get easily 10 hours of just sitting down and typing out of it. I can tell you the campaign is 75 levels long. It's 4 hours to go through. And then once you beat the campaign, you can actually go back through the campaign in reverse, and all the words are backwards. And then there's a survival mode, which, you know, is fun. Then there's a free play mode. And then there's some other Easter eggs in the game that extend the replay value even more. So, I mean, for $2, you're getting just a
I'm downloading it right now. I'm just looking it up right now on my iPhone.
Yes, sold. And
definitely. How's it doing? How's it doing? Are there, like, is it reaching an audience? Is it like a lot of people finding out about this?
Yeah, you know, it's been great so far. I think it's been really, really cool. The best thing about it is that we're going to be offering one of the cool things we're going to be doing is we're going to be offering free updates to the game, and part of the free updates are going to be new playable characters, new levels, and new enemies, and you know, new levels, of course, like in terms of actual the backgrounds and the actual levels themselves. So. The playable characters we're going to be releasing. We're going to be releasing the Angry Video Game Nerd, who will be a playable character, which will be really cool. We're going to be doing Bruno Floss, who is one of our features on ScrewAttack, who has a really cool YouTube crowd. And we're also going to be actually, I haven't told you about this exclusive. What's up? We're going to be actually have Mr. Destructoid as a playable character as well. From Destructoid.com, the robot. It's going to be really cool. We're still figuring out how he's going to play. But the one thing we know is that his level will be in a strip club, and he said he wants to bitch slap people. So
nice.
So that should be cool. As well as a couple more secrets along the way too. So we'll definitely be. I think that's going to help us reach an even broader audience and kind of help the game grow a little bit more. But so far the game's been selling pretty good. It's like I said, it's an iPhone game. It's $1.99. We reached the top 50 on the App Store on the first day, and we've been featured on iTunes on the App Store as new and noteworthy. And our first update will be coming sometime next week, where we're actually going to be including Game Center on the game, which is kind of like the new thing that Apple's pushing really hard right now, which is like kind of their equivalent to Xbox Live. Where you can see your friends' leaderboard, your friends' scores, and keep track of them and such like that. So that's going to be a free update as well. And so like the $2.99 or the $1.99 value is it's just insane. It's insane that it cost a lot more to make than $2. I can guarantee you that.
Oh yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Sure. So yeah.
So do you guys see yourselves? I'm sorry. Do you guys see yourselves doing more games in the future at all?
I hope so. The thing is, we have so many ideas for games, and this is like, it's really, really cool for me to say, I've published a video game, that's awesome. That's really cool. And it's like self-fulfilling because I was watching, I read this review of Texting the Bread, and it was really, really cool to me because the guy was like, this is a website. This is a company that talks about games all day long, and they review games, and they look at games, and they critique games, but now they're kind of putting their money where their mouth is, and I never really thought of it that way, but that's really cool. And if you, I guess, if you think about it, he's right, which is pretty neat. I like to think that we've been, the game itself, it's been, the app of the week, like GamePro, one of my favorite publications ever. GamePro gave it app of the week. And that's like really, that's like gives me a warm.
It's kind of cool that you used to read GamePro as a kid, and now that you do games in it, that's a cool feeling for sure.
Oh my gosh, it's so amazing. But yeah, I really hope we do some more games in the future. And I can tell you right now, we do have plans for at least one more. And but it's not going to be an iPhone game. It's gonna we're planning an Xbox Live and PlayStation or PSN and WiiWare title. But I can't tell you more about that.
No worries about that. But that's kind of in the works, coming out in 2011 or something.
Yeah. We're still trying to put together a time frame right now. But I think it's something that a lot of people are going to be really excited about. So
cool.
It's going to be cool.
Great.
You know what? I'm totally taking a guess what it is, but I'm not going to say. But
go ahead. Go guess. If you guess it right, I'll tell you.
No, because I'm just guessing on something like something to do with the Angry Video Game Nerd.
No.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Nothing at all.
Yeah. I was taking that was my free easy shot, but it's okay. Yeah. You'd be very curious to see what it's going to be. Then that would be really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, you guys are so busy doing so much stuff. It's amazing, like how you guys keep a handle on, making video games, doing a convention alone is a huge thing. Like, I don't know how you guys keep organized with everything, never mind all the content you got to do and keeping in touch with all the content producers. Like, how do you guys organize this on a daily? You guys have to have a really good schedule, I'm guessing.
God, it is honestly, like, it's hard. Like, I could tell you that it's like, it's real easy. It's hard. I mean, we have so much stuff going on a day-to-day basis that it's like, my life is so insane that, like, and I'm believe me, I'm not looking for like any sort of, like, oh, poor baby. Because I realize I'm living like the dream. I realize that I get to make a living, from my own business, and it's one of my passions. It's video games. I totally understand that. But from my day, from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep, is occupied with ScrewAttack, in some way, shape, or form. And it's something that, my wife and I were talking about this last night, and she's like, I can't, my wife's known me ever since ScrewAttack. She's grown. Our relationship's grown as ScrewAttack's grown. I met her a year into ScrewAttack, and so that's all she's ever known me doing. And she's like, I can't imagine you doing anything but ScrewAttack. And I said, I forgot what life is like with anything but ScrewAttack. Just my life being totally consumed with it. So
it's hard, but you like it, right? It's one of those things. It's tough, but you love to do it.
Yeah,
exactly. Sometimes it's like, oh my God, I need a vacation, right?
Yeah, and I can tell you this that it's a vacation. The vacations that I do take are so great because I constantly have my phone on. I'm constantly attached to email and all that fun stuff, and so I'm always connected to ScrewAttack in some way, shape, or form. It's like a freaking vein or something.
Yeah.
But when I do go on vacations, it's like I remove myself totally. I shut off my phone. I don't bring my computer. If the site catches on fire or whatever, I will not know because I'm totally disconnected. And that is actually like really hard to do. But it totally needs to happen for me to kind of be able to come back and kind of be like, all right, let's go, let's keep going, and keep going at such a high level, I guess.
Here's a question for you. You've done so much in the last few years, and absolutely, totally be happy with what you've accomplished because it's great. But what do you see in the next 5 years for ScrewAttack? That's a huge question. It's a bit of a hypothetical one, but I guess you have a vision or a dream. It's good to dream, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, you're like the internet. What are you going to do next? No, just kidding.
Oh, geez, no. But I'm just going to say, you kind of grown, but you must have like a future vision. Like, I'd love to do that. I think we all have that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things where if, like I said, we've been doing this for 5 years coming up in February. But if you told me 5 years ago that we would have a game, we would have done a video game convention. We would have a video game store. I mean, 5 years ago, that was not in the plans, and it all just kind of happened. So kind of where we're going, it's interesting because I don't know. I wish I could tell you that I have a plan, it's kind of one of those things where we kind of take things on a case by case basis. And it's one of the, if it makes sense, we'll do it. Obviously content is going to be core, that's what we do. That's what we've always done. And that's what we're always going to continue to do. And I know that in our immediate future, we have a few new shows that we're going to be producing, for a new partner we're going to be announcing here in the next couple of weeks. And so those are like our two most ambitious shows we've ever done. And wow. I really think that they are, one of the shows in particular is like a total game changer in terms of how people look at internet TV and internet stuff. I'm really excited about that show, and I really think it's going to be something that hasn't been done online yet.
That's cool.
And so I'm definitely looking to take the next step with our content. And from the other stuff in terms of SGC and in terms of the store, I don't know. I really don't know. The thing about the store is that with Game Attack is that, it's clear that everything is going digital, and yeah. You can download your games. So the market for games is especially used games, and it's there, but but
didn't you tell me that you had like a Best Buy near you and a Walmart or something?
Yeah. And the thing is, where our location is, it's very kind of a hoity-toity area. We're in an area that is it's like upper middle class, and there's we are firmly number 5 on the totem pole in terms of video game sales goes. I mean, we are literally right next to a Walmart. There's a Best Buy across the street. There's a Target, and then there's also a GameStop. So then there's little old Game Attack here, and this is all keep in mind, this is all within 2 blocks of each other. So then there's Game Attack. So, but we've managed to carve out a nice little niche for ourselves, and we do have a pretty hardcore audience, just like we do at ScrewAttack. for those who come in and pick up their games. And we pride ourselves on having the best prices, even though it cost us the most to have the best prices. We definitely had the best prices in terms of used games. We obviously can't offer super pre-order bonuses like GameStop can, but we'd like to think we make up for it in our prices, which sounds really stupid and cliche, but it's tough. It's tough to be in the spot that we're at, but I think we're doing a pretty good job of managing it. So,
how'd you guys start up with your game store in terms of getting the used games? And did you guys just take like a handful of what you guys had around your house and your homes and kind of just pull it in there? Like, how did you start up that?
Well, we actually acquired the game store from another company. They were looking we actually went to the store's opening when it first opened, and it was open for about a year, and then it changed owners, and those owners had it for about 6 months before they realized that they didn't know what the hell they were doing. And so we essentially acquired the game store from them, and so we acquired all the merchandise that came with it, all the games and everything that were in the store already, all the games and consoles and all that fun stuff. So we got that store, and we rebranded it, brought in Jared. Jared was one of our he's our store manager now, but he actually was a content producer for us that actually produced a series about video game stores. And after talking to them more, I realized that the reason why his series was so good was because, and he knew so much about video game stores, is that because he worked at a video game store, and he was actually ranked, like, I guess GameStop does like rankings of like their management team and such, and he was actually one of their like highly ranked managers in the country. And wow. I was like, hey, would you like to come down and manage our store? And he's like, yes. So Jared came down, and so we kind of went in with our own fresh philosophy and kind of gave Jared the leash, and he's been doing a great job.
How was I know last time we spoke, Craig, you were heading to Japan. How was your trip out to Japan?
Oh, Tokyo is nuts. It's such a crazy world over there. The best thing about Tokyo is that they are so polite in Tokyo, and just Japan in general. When you go over there, I was shocked at how polite they are, and that when you get on the subway and there's a sign that says no cell phones, guess what? Nobody's on their cell phone talking. And when you're going up, when you go up an escalator, everybody stays to the left, so that if somebody's in a hurry, they can go up the right side. It's like little things like that you go, wow, you can be polite and be productive in society. That's amazing. Yeah. And then when I came back to the States, I very quickly realized that everything everybody says about America, we're fat, we're lazy, we're inconsiderate. It's true. It's so true. Yeah. And I'm like, it hit me like right when I was in the airport. I was like, wow, that's amazing. It's so stereotypically true. It's unbelievable. And it's nuts. So, but in terms of the actual trip itself, other than the culture, I mean, the video game scene over there is unlike anything that is in this world. It is so ungodly cool. It's unbelievable. Like we down in Akihabara, that's like the electronic district of Tokyo. There were five-story arcades within one city block of each other, and it's so crazy. And we went into one, like, they're separated out into the bottom floor is like your traditional like crane games, right? And those are huge over there. As a matter of fact, what I was told was that those are the games that make the most money for the arcades, are those stupid crane games. And then the next is like the rhythm games. Then the next is like the classic games, the final fights, the shmups, the whatever, the games that I even saw, like an RBI baseball, and then the next level, is your fighting game, and then the next level, so every level is different, and the thing is, they're all full. At least when I was there, they were packed, and we went into one that it was called Hey, and HEY exclamation point. And we went into Hey, and I saw the best video game players I've ever seen there. By far, the best video game players I've ever seen. I saw a guy playing through Final Fight, and he did not get hit throughout the game. I saw a guy playing Ikaruga, unlike any player I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And the thing about it, there's so many games over there that are not available in the United States because the culture is so different. I mean, when people say like the anime, manga, tech culture is like that's part of Tokyo, it's true. They have RPGs, role playing games in arcades. Yeah. What? How does that happen?
Very cool.
The Gundam scene over there, like I don't know the first thing about Gundam, but Gundam is huge over there, and they have these big, giant arcade things where you have 4 people on a side. It's kind of like a Modern Warfare, I guess, or like a Halo, where you play 4v4, but it's like a spectator sport where you can see actually what's going on and strategize with your team before you take on the next team in this area. You can actually see it on a monitor and such. And the thing that really blew my mind was there was this, and I know I'm just going on and on, but there's this game that had it was made 2 separate ways that I saw. There was one that was a soccer game, and there was one that was like a war game. And the way this worked was you had the screen in front of you, and there was like a magnetic strip that looked kind of like a map in front of you, and you had these playing cards, right, that you would put down on this magnetic strip, and it would read what's on your card, all your hit points, your experience, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it would take that information and put it into the game so you can manage your soccer team or manage how you want to attack the next battle or whatever it may be. I mean, it was unlike anything I've ever seen before. It was crazy.
A completely different culture than over here. That's insane.
Oh my gosh. If you ever have the opportunity to go to Tokyo, ever, even if it's just for a layover on a plane, just take a couple hours, go to Akihabara, and just go in the smoke-filled arcades. It's going to be like anything you've ever seen. And I didn't even go on the video games. I didn't even touch on the video game stores. The video game stores there are incredible. They're awesome.
Can they still smoke in arcades over there?
Oh yeah, it's in the arcades in the States, they kind of have this musky BO type thing going on, right? Yeah. Whereas like in Japan, they have this musky smoke thing going on where everybody's smoking, and it's very everybody smokes in Japan. It's really kind of gross, but yeah,
that's crazy because I remember friends of mine going there years ago when people would smoke in arcades. I used to hear those stories, but I kind of thought they were kind of like us. That wasn't appropriate anymore. You had to do it like 7 feet away from a door, but I guess you can just do it over there, right?
Oh my gosh, no! What is appropriate in the States is totally it's upside down world in Japan. Yeah, it's even in the women's clothing. What is stylish over there you would be so labeled as a whore over here. There were these women. I kid you not, guys. There were these women that they had like. It was something like if my wife wore it at night, I would be like, "Whoa," like full stockings with garters that go up to their skirt and such. Yeah. With their hair all like up and
those
crazy.
Are like Lolitas or something like that.
Well, no, but they may have been, but that's all I saw while I was over there, and maybe that's what I was looking for. But I swear to God, that was.
I need to go to Japan.
Well, gentlemen, the podcast has been fun. This is Jason Heine signing off. I'm buying a few plane tickets.
That's right.
I'm with you right now. Let's do it.
Yeah, you should definitely take the trip if you have the opportunity to, for sure.
Yeah,
so.
that's one of my dreams to go to Japan someday, and hopefully one day I will. But that's awesome. Yeah.
What were some of the other highlight moments of Japan? Like,
I think aside going in and my highlight of all highlights was getting the console that I've always wanted to have, and that is a Super Famicom. I've never had a Super Famicom. I've always wanted a Super Famicom, and I splurged and got a Super Famicom and like 20 games, and I know I can't read the text on them, but damn it, I don't care. It's the console I always wanted, and that was like, I was there with a buddy, and I was hanging out with this other guy, and and I turned into like a 10-year-old kid again when I was in those stores. I was just like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. And just totally freaking out. And that was definitely the highlight of my trip for sure.
How much was that Super Famicom?
I got a Super Famicom in box, like in mint condition for like $60. And I spent another like $75 on like 20 games. So I got a pretty good, for about $150. I got a pretty good amount of games.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I felt really happy about it. So,
guys, we're at that time in the show again where we're actually going to talk about games we've been playing recently, and we thought we'd start it off with Craig. Craig, what have you been playing recently?
Well, I've been I got NBA Jam a little early, and I've been nose deep in NBA Jam, going crazy on that. One of my favorite arcade games in history. So I've been playing the crap out of the Wii version, and I also been getting a little bit of Other M in, which I've been highly disappointed in, and Halo Reach as well. A little bit of get into that. It's pretty good stuff. So.
Now, Craig, what disappoints you the most about Other M? Because I've been on the fence about buying that game for the past month. Like, what do you hate about it? Or not hate, but what do you dislike about the game?
Yeah, here's the thing about Other M is, I guess the best way to put it, and people are like, well, it has a story now. Well, Metroid has never had a story. The story is Samus is a badass and she shoots the crap out of stuff, and that's pretty much all you need to know. So, I was worried when Team Ninja took over the project because I know they have the history and kind of how they play with the Ninja Gaiden series and such. I wasn't sure how it would come off, and I know people are like, the gameplay is really solid. The gameplay is really basic. It's extremely basic. There's really no skill in terms of destroying things. There's an auto aim to it. They made, I guess, my complaint with the actual story is that Samus was a woman. And they turned her into a chick.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah.
And you always thought of her as this like freely independent woman who went around and she didn't care what other people thought. I mean, she's a bounty hunter, of all things. Her job as a bounty hunter is, when you think of bounty hunter, you just think this like grizzled person who just doesn't care, and, in this, she has like feelings. And really early on in the game, there was a monologue. She's always monologuing in this game. She's always monologuing. And really early on, I'm sure you heard about the storyline with Adam, who was her previous commanding officer. Have you heard that yet?
I heard a little bit about that. Yeah, I heard. Yeah.
Okay, so long story short, I'm not going to spoil anything for you because it's real early in the game. But real early in the game, she goes to the space station. She sees her commanding officer and her like former fleet of troops that she worked with or whatever, and they're like, "What are you doing here?" And she says, "Well, I'm checking out this distress call." And then she goes, "Well, what are you doing here?" And then Adam says, "That information is not privy to strangers." And then she goes, "It's like he used the words that just, it's like he used the words on purpose and just that pierced my heart." And it was like, seriously, Samus?
Yeah, it's crazy, seriously? Isn't it?
It's like, I've never hit a woman, but I wanted to hit Samus there. I just wanted to slap her. So I guess I just can't get over that. And I know people are like, well, it has a deep story. Well, I don't want a deep story. I'm sorry. Call me Stone Aged, whatever.
No, I agree with you. Like, I just like, Samus being a bounty hunter, kicking ass, taking names if you want to be funny. But yeah, when I heard that she was like a whiny girl, I'm like, no, Jesus, don't do that to me. So I'm not buying it.
Speaking of kicking ass and taking names, Craig, did you play the Duke Nukem at PAX when you were there?
I did play Duke Nukem. And actually, funny thing, you were talking about top 10s. We are going to have a couple top 10s on the way that pertain directly to Duke Nukem, Duke Nukem Forever. Nice. I don't know if you know this, but Gearbox, the company who's developing this, is about 10 minutes away from our office. So that could come in handy very soon.
Awesome.
Very nice. Cool.
So you may be seeing some exclusives. Who knows? So.
Well, before we get off the subject of Duke Nukem, though, they just announced today that if you pre-order or if you buy the new Borderlands Game of the Year edition that's coming out, you'll get early beta access to Duke Nukem. So I figured I'd throw that out there.
Yeah, I think that's definitely. It's funny. We reported on that on Hard News today, and it was like the first thing Duke's going to do is help sell new games, or help sell games. So, it's amazing how I do think it's a really smart marketing tie-in, for sure. And I think people will be excited about it. For me, I'm anxious to see how the game does after 12 years of build up.
Yeah, I think it'll do quite well, actually. I really do. There's just that 12 year of hype behind it. Like, I think it's, even if it turns out to be a pretty mediocre game, which it may just be, I think it'll still sell pretty well.
I agree. I do think so too.
Mm-hmm.
So, Pete, what are you playing, man?
Well, I forgot to mention in our previous episode that I have been playing Halo Reach. I kind of get things mixed up between my YouTube channel and this show. I forget what I talk about, but I have not played Halo Reach in about a week and a half, mainly because I found out there's no autosave in that game. I was playing through the campaign. I was having a fun time with it. And I lost about 2.5 hours worth of progress because I shut the game off through the dashboard instead of pressing start, saving and quitting. Because constantly through the game, it's coming up checkpoint. I'm like, okay, it's probably saving. No, the next time I turned the game on, I got, I lost a ton of progress, and that just totally put me off. It's a good game, but it's not good enough for me to be like, okay, I want to do that all over again right now. So Halo Reach, having fun with it. It's, I'm not a huge Halo head, but it's fun enough for me to consider getting back to it pretty soon. However, I just did get 2 games in the mail today that will probably eat up my time, and the first of them is Castlevania Lords of Shadow. Now, I was kind of skeptical going into this because I've been reading, it's not a Castlevania game, it's a God of War clone, but I have to say I played it for about an hour and a half, and I'm actually really impressed. It's one of the most beautiful games I've seen since like Uncharted 2. It's almost on par with Uncharted 2. It has a lot of great detail. I would say the game's almost worth picking up for the graphics and the environments alone. Like, I just found myself stopping and looking at the environments, and unfortunately, you can't control the camera in the game, so it's a little restrictive. Really? It's got quite a bit of story to it so far, and what I like the most is, unlike the God of War games, really, it hasn't really thrown wave after wave after wave of enemies at you. It's kind of had nice breakup elements where you're kind of just transversing through the environment and everything, and a puzzle here, puzzle there, light platforming. And I don't know, I've been having fun with it. The combat system feels just like God of War so far. I haven't uncovered all of the new gameplay elements that they're going to be adding to it. But it's fun. It's enjoyable. I don't regret the purchase so far. Supposedly it's a pretty long game. But I'm just honestly, the thing I'm looking forward to the most about the game is seeing the rest of the environments. Like, they're just that good. Did any of you guys plan on picking up the new Castlevania?
Yes. I'll be honest with you. I was on the fence because some of the reviews I've been reading have been saying, like, I'm from the Castlevania Symphony of the Night days, like I love when Castlevania went that direction. And everybody's saying, oh, it's not like that anymore. It's just gone back to its action roots, but it's more like God of War. And I'm like, oh, geez, that's too bad. But, I talked to Rob, man, today. He was telling me, praising the game, and you're telling me about the graphics, all that. I will pick it up. I think there's just so many games out. I was kind of thinking maybe I'll pick it up on the cheap, but I think I'll pick it up for sure. So, but yeah, there's a lot of mixed reviews. It's confusing the audience a little bit. People are like, it's an action game, but it's not, Castlevania Metroid style and all that. But you know what? I like the original action for Castlevania as well. I'm not saying I don't, but I'll definitely give it a go.
You know what? It is what it is. Would I have liked a Metroidvania game instead of this? Hell yes. But yeah. It's a done deal. This obviously is going to be the new direction they're going to go with, at least the console iterations. And for what game is there, I think it's really good. We can't change back time and be like, hey, give us the game that we want. It's done. And honestly, like, if they're going to copy any action game and fusion elements from other games, I think they picked, God of War is obviously the biggest influence. Maybe I don't know, a little bit of I guess a little bit Uncharted. I really don't know what to say. It's mostly just God of War though, with a Castlevania coating on it, but I've been pretty impressed. The other game I got in the mail with that was Enslaved Odyssey to the West, and I just popped it in just before the show. I only played it about an hour. I have to say though, as much as I thought the demo was pretty cool and watching the videos and it was pretty nice, I'm a little bit let down by it. Only because it's like super auto guide mode, like the whole game so far. All the platforming in the game, super handheld. Like I'm telling you, it will not let you fall off cliffs. It won't let you fall. You can't screw up your jumps. Like I tried running off a cliff and there's invisible walls everywhere. Like you almost cannot die in this game from the platforming elements. And it almost feels too automatic. Sort of like, Uncharted 2 had a similar system, but it was just so fluid and it just kind of felt right. This one, it feels forced, especially because the camera is constantly pointing in the right direction to go. It like super highlights the objects that you can jump onto and grab onto and everything. So that's kind of a turnoff for me. Another turnoff for me is the combat is kind of oversimplistic right now. Now I have heard later in the game, it kind of opens up a bit and it becomes a bit more, kind of free flowing, almost like Batman or Arkham Asylum a bit. Sure. However, right now it's just very basic. You got your one combo on the X button, your one combo on the Y button. You can dodge, you can block, and that's it. I'm not further enough in the game to see if I unlock any more combos, but combat's very basic. There's some problems with the cameras. However, there's redeeming qualities to the game. The graphics are really, really nice. I love the setting, sort of in, post-apocalyptic setting with really nice colors, trees, shrubbery everywhere. It just looks really great. And the character development is excellent so far. The facial expressions, it looks just... Anybody that's played Heavy Rain, you'll immediately see Heavy Rain in this game. It's from Ninja Theory, same developers. But characters, environments, acting, that's all top-notch. Everything else I'm kind of in between right now. Maybe my opinions will change when I get further in the game.
I've heard a lot of good things about the game, actually. I haven't played it, but I didn't know the first thing about the game. But Destin has been playing it, and he said, I don't want to give anything away, but our review's up right now. But he said playing the game for the story is worth it alone. So if you're, try to make it, I guess, I've only seen a couple minutes of gameplay, and I'm definitely going to watch the review on our site, which is funny because I haven't actually seen the review yet. But it will. I'll definitely. I'm interested in it. I'm definitely interested in it just from what I've been told and kind of what I've seen so far. So.
Yeah, I haven't given up on it yet. I'm just not convinced on mostly the gameplay. I'm not convinced yet. However, like you said, the story, it seems like it's really great. But other than that, I also did get Atelier, I don't know how the hell you pronounce it. Atelier Rorana, which is from the Mana Chemia and the Atelier Iris and all those alchemy-based RPGs, mainly on the PlayStation 2 that came out in the States. They released one of their titles on the PlayStation 3. It's the first one that's in 3D render instead of 2D sprites. It's an RPG that is for Harvest Moon nuts. Like I'm telling you, all I've been doing in this game so far, even though it's a turn-based RPG, like 80% of the game, I've just been out gathering shrubs and pieces of wood and synthesizing them together to turn in for a quest and get money and rinse and repeat.
Awesome.
It might sound, it sounds very boring, but you think back to Harvest Moon and I'll tell you, like, as boring as Harvest Moon sounds, plants, harvest them, raise cows, like, seriously, that game's addicting. Think Harvest Moon, but with actual turn-based RPG elements. It's actually not that bad from what I played so far. You do have to be into anime, like it's got, all the anime girls and all that crap in it. But if you can deal with that, it's not a bad RPG, and I'm still working my way through that. I'm about 3 hours into that. I think I kind of played it like 3 hours straight first night. What else? Of course, I got my dose in of Etrian Odyssey 3. I'm on the 3rd stratum now. I'm still loving that game. Played some StarCraft 2 as usual. And on the DSiWare, it's been a while since I've downloaded a DSiWare game. However, have any of you ever heard of the game Shantae on the Game Boy Color?
Yes, it was a big game. Didn't get a whole lot of pub, but yeah, I've heard it was a really, really good GBA game. And it was GBA, correct? Game Boy Advance?
Game Boy Color. Game Boy Color, actually. Yeah, and the reason why it got so much, had this little cult following behind it is the animation. I didn't ever buy or play Shantae on the Game Boy Color, but supposedly the sprite animation in the game was like top notch, the best on the Game Boy Color, and it was a very, very good platform on top of that. And this kind of came out of left field. All of a sudden, they announced a sequel to Shantae, which was sort of this long forgotten platformer game. And the thing is, this game goes for a very pretty penny on eBay. Like, I've wanted a copy of it, But just to get, even a cart of it is like $100. If you want a complete copy, I don't know, $200. Like, it's ridiculous because it's supposedly such a good and such a rare game. It was a very late release on the Game Boy Color. But I downloaded the sequel on the DSiWare, and I have to say, I think this may be I could be wrong, but they charge 1,200 Microsoft points for this game on DSiWare, and that's a lot considering that most games that end up on there are 500 to 800 points. So this is like a mammoth price for a game on there. But some of the best sprite work I've seen, it rivals full DS titles. Like, I'm telling you, the first boss that you face reminds me of like a Metal Slug boss in terms of like sprite work on it, and the animation just like the original on the Game Boy Color. They've obviously won up that 100% in the DS one, but the animation in this game, you guys have to watch a video on it. It's very fluid. Overall, though, like in terms of the gameplay, so far it's pretty basic. You just got, she's a half genie and she uses her hair to attack the enemies. And I haven't gotten to a point in the game yet, but she can transform into things, sort of like how Kirby's going to do it in Kirby's Epic Yarn coming up. She got magic spells, fireballs, and stuff like that. And it's got like an overworld map, and it's kind of got a little bit of a free roam aspect to it where it's not completely linear. You can go to certain places, and it's got a little bit of Metroid in there where you got to get certain items before you can access certain areas. But it's a very stellar game so far. I would definitely recommend it to anybody that is downloading DSiWare titles. And because I was in a DSiWare mood, I also downloaded a couple of older titles that kind of interested me. One of them was Souls of Darkness, which is a 500 point, basically Castlevania clone, simply put. It clones the 2D Castlevania games. I played it for about a half an hour, and it's decent. It's very basic. You can level up your weapons, you can level up your combos, you can level up your damage. It's exactly like Castlevania. Like, I'm telling you, it's got just like Alucard and Symphony of the Night. He's sort of got that glow and that fade that kind of follows him as he jumps around, and the music is very, very similar. I mean, even the cover art and the characters, it's about vampires. They got sort of like a Dracula character in there. It's exactly like Castlevania. It's a straight ripoff, and it's pretty decent for 500 points. Also, lastly, have any of you ever heard of or played a game? It was never released in America. It was on the original Game Boy. It was called X, the letter X. Have any of you ever heard of that?
No.
I haven't.
No.
It's a very, very unknown little title. And the funny story behind it was when I was in middle school, I had a Japanese friend, and I forget what game I traded him. I forget what it was. Or he might have just gave me this game. He gives me a game on the original Game Boy, and it was my first import game ever. And the title of it was simply X. And it's a game that plays very, very similar to Star Fox. Now, what really impressed me about this game at the time is it had that sort of fake 3D effect. You guys know what I'm talking about, where you're sort of going down a corridor, but it just uses straight lines to sort of give you that perspective of traveling through this 3D space. And I was totally impressed with it. I'm like, oh my God, this is the best looking Game Boy Advance game I've ever played. And needless to say, I couldn't understand anything they were saying in there, but it was a decent Star Fox style in the first person game. There was also a tank mode where instead of flying around, you were in a tank, just like Star Fox. So
I'm watching gameplay of it right now.
I'm seeing it right now, yeah. Out of nowhere, they released a sequel on the DSi where it's called Escape. And I have to tell you, seriously, like, I'm super impressed with this game. Think Tron meets Star Fox, and that's Escape. Like, super awesome music, really just exactly like Tron graphics. Awesome sound. You have to wear a headset when you play this game. And it has touchscreen controls, so you can kind of fly around and aim like that, or you can use the buttons. I'm trying to figure out which one I like more. But there's a tank mode and the flying mode, and from what I've played so far, it's non-linear, so you can kind of there's like 10 different planets, and you can choose what planets you want to go to and what order. And you kind of just got to shoot enemies, get keys, open up the portals, travel to the next place. It's got little missions in there, but I'm actually super impressed with it. It's 800 points, and I'd highly recommend it. I think I want to do a video on this for sure. And that's about it for me. Yeah, that's all. That's all I've been playing.
You've been a very busy boy, man.
Yeah.
No.
So
like,
what about it?
You're like, yeah, I played NBA Jam. Nice.
What about you, Johnny?
Oh,
How do you
geez.
follow up with that, though? It's
How do I follow that? Like, wow. I've only played like 2 games. Like, what's going on? I told you guys at PAX, it was the strangest thing for me to say, but I was really excited about Front Mission, Evolved. And so I was in Best Buy the other day. I saw, I'm like, I got to pick this up. I've been talking so much about it. And so I brought it home, and I'm on the last boss. It's such an easy game. Like, I'm probably it was like 4 hours to the end. I spent like $60 on it. And graphics are decent. It's an arcadey shooter. It's something that everybody can rent or buy on the cheap. Do not spend $60 on it. But it's doing what I expected it to do. It's like a Border Break by Sega. It's kind of the same kind of thing. So it's an okay game. I'm not minding it. Storyline, who cares? I'm seriously listening to these, the characters talk. You don't care. I just kept hitting start just to get to the next action bit.
I actually have a question about it.
Sure.
I know there's portions in the game where you can play as like a human. Are those any good? Like I saw gameplay. It looked terrible.
Oh, it's terrible. It's totally like Gears of War. It's like exactly like that, but no polish. Like you just run in a room, you just kind of float in the room, and people are sticking up or their heads or running in, and you have like it feels like you have 10 minutes just to kind of line up your shots and shoot them down. You never die in those levels. They're just so easy. And I said the whole game is so easy. I don't know why they went that direction. I don't know why they took it. They want to make it Americanized, right? Just because Front Mission has always been strategy oriented, and it really kind of shows they really don't know what they're doing. They should have just kept it as a mech fighter. Lose the Gears of War shooting elements. That was terrible. But I hate to be negative on it, but it isn't that great of a game.
You'll have to try out the online. I'm really interested in that. Yeah, because I can't. The last time I played a mech game online, that would be what the hell, Mech Assault on the original
first
Xbox.
Game on the was it the 360? What was that? Steel? No. What the fuck was that?
Well, Mech Assault on the Xbox, and then
there's one by Sega that came out right away with a 360. Everybody jumped on that, but anyways, you know what? Maybe it has some redeeming qualities online. I'll definitely go and do that. But I predicted it'd get a 6 out of 10 by everybody, and I was right, and I'd give it a 6 out of 10 too. So it's a little bit of a disappointment, but it does what it does. On the cheap, it'd be great. But the next game is really, really cool, and unfortunately, you can't buy it in stores because it's a patch. It's an English patch for an old PlayStation 1 game that I'm playing, and that game is Policenauts. And I tell you, as the spiritual successor to Snatcher, I've never played it. I remember reading about this game in GameFan back in the day, and getting a chance to actually play in English. And I got to say, the translation, some of the bits are hilarious. It's so adult. It's wild, because you can do anything you want, and these guys have. But they translated it excellently, and it's such a good game. It's a text adventure game, so it's like it's a picture of something, and you've got to click on all the different things in that particular screen. But man, the storyline really gets you sucked in. Like in the first 15 minutes, I'm like, man, I'm totally into this storyline. And I haven't said that in a long time. I got to be honest with you. I don't really get sucked into storylines in video games not too much these days. I'm not really into a storyline. I'm more into playing the game like I used to do. But the storyline is like, wow, like really grasps you. So for anybody out there who's interested in finding it, I think you can go to policenauts.net, and I think they have a patch there. I had a friend of mine put it all together for me, and he just brought it over, and that was kind of cool. So I don't know about the technical ways of putting it, applying that patch to the ISO. I'm not going to get into all of that, but policenauts.net, the translation is there and available. So anybody wants to try out Policenauts, you can do it if you have an original copy of Policenauts on the PS1. But sorry guys, that game is just such a surprise and so cool to play. Like, I don't know, is it like 15 years later? And you're just so sad. Like, you're just like, Konami, why didn't you bring this out back in the day? Or why haven't you brought it out on the PSP? There's an audience for this game. So, anyways, sorry, that's the games I've been playing. Gamester, what have you been playing?
I have had an itch for the PS1 lately, so I've been playing a lot of I whipped up my PS1 and played Herc's Adventure. I don't know if you guys remember that game. It's a LucasArts game, kind of an obscure title that they released, but really fun top-down beat-em-up game. A lot of fun. I searched forever. I couldn't find my memory card, which really sucked. So I'm playing all these games with no memory card. Also played Parappa the Rapper.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a great game, kind of predates Guitar Hero, all the, rhythm games and stuff like that. But really fun game. I remember playing it back in the day and just kind of threw me back playing that. Also played... what's that?
I could actually rap the entire first song.
Punch, kick, it's all in the mind. That's what I remember.
Kick, punch, it's all. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The guy with the sensei guy, right? The karate guy. Yeah, it's classic.
Don't get cocky. It's good. Yeah.
He goes, what doesn't he like? Yeah, he goes has a girl, and anyway, it's a great game. And what's the sequel to that? There's another one that was released too, wasn't there? Another.
Well, there was a second one on the PS2, and then there was what Jammer Lammy or something.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. That's right. That's yeah. So playing that, and then I played. Whipped in Legend of Dragoon. Again, I couldn't find my memory card, so I couldn't get too into it. To be honest with you, I played about an hour or so into it, 2 hours, but I really liked it. I'd never played it before. Bought it used, and for those fans of Final Fantasy VII, those kind of style RPG, it's a really fun game. Kind of linear. The map is very linear. From my experience playing it, I didn't like the music as much as Final Fantasy games go, but graphics are great. I like the double attack option, stuff like that. So that's kind of my console playing. And then this past weekend, Jason and I went up to, it's in Phoenix, Sabotincon. I'm probably mispronouncing that. It's a Japanese anime convention. It was really fun, but they had and Jason kind of helped me with this, but they had this gaming place where you could actually play console games, and they had this MAME cabinet. So Jason and I were playing old school NBA Jam, which is great. I know Craig had mentioned NBA Jam being one of his favorites. It's one of mine as well. And we played through and beat Michael Jackson Moonwalker for the arcade.
Nice.
Great arcade, totally different than the Genesis version.
Completely different.
Completely different. But it's fun. We had all three. We had us two and another guy joined us halfway through. So it was three of us playing this game. And I'll tell you what, the music in that game, it's just so epic. And it's kind of funny how you have these children saying, Michael, Michael.
And Michael. You save them and they go running off. And they're like, oh, thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. And at the very end, Jason, what did it say at the very end of the game when you beat it? It said
oh gosh,
some cheesy thing
yeah.
And Michael Jackson wrote this.
Yeah, he totally did. Yeah, it was Michael Jackson saved the world type of thing. And then at the end, it's dot, dot, dot. It's and the kids, well, they're all smiling somewhere because Michael Jackson saved them, and it's just totally corny. He totally wrote it,
They're all smiling because they know one day Michael Jackson will be back to say hi or something like that.
Yeah, it was something ridiculous. Let me see if I can find a picture of it.
But nevertheless, it's a classic arcade game. Kind of a unique perspective beat 'em up game for sure. Definitely want to check out if you have a MAME or play that kind of thing. And I've been downloading a lot of apps for my iPhone or my iPad Touch or iPhone Touch or what it's called. And I've been playing Simpsons. Download the Simpsons Arcade, which is kind of fun. It's a renewed Simpsons game, which is by EA. Did that, and it came out I think late last year. So if you're a big fan of the original Simpsons arcade game, this is kind of a new one they released, and the controls are kind of funny. It works out really well. And I've downloaded both Final Fantasy 1 and 2 on the my iPod Touch, and that's been a lot of fun playing those. So those are the games I've been playing this week. How about you, Jason?
I have been playing 3 titles, and I've taken it back a little bit. I went back to play some Red Faction on the PS2. You guys ever played Red Faction?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Great shooter by THQ. For the time, it had revolutionary geomod technology, as they called it, where you could, today we take it for granted. I mean, I just got done playing Bad Company 2, and you can take whole buildings down. But in this day and age, when this came out in 2001, to shoot a rocket at a wall and have that actually blow up, it had properties with it, was just mind-blowing. And so, anyway, I played hours and hours and hours with multiplayer as well, but that's a great shooter on the PS2, Red Faction. Also, I went back and I played Sega Classics Collection. You guys ever play that? That's also on the PS2. Yeah. Since I can't play my Virtua Racing Arcade at the moment, I'm getting my fix with it here on this collection. It's got Space Harrier, Golden Axe. Let's see what else. It's got Virtua Racing Outrun. Just a couple of games like that. Classic little gem on the PS2. These games, they say that they're arcade perfect. Some of them are, some of them aren't. But I've been playing that for Virtua Racing on there. If anyone wants to get a fix on that, classic gem from Sega AM2, that is a great port to do it on. And then lastly, I just did a review on this on my channel too. Captain Skyhawk for the NES. You guys ever play that one?
Yeah.
What a classic game that is. I really enjoy it. It's a top-down, forward-scrolling shooter, and it's done by Rare. And yeah, you guys play that one ever?
No, I haven't. I've never heard of that before.
Yep, absolutely. Captain Skyhawk. Yeah, for sure.
I have a lot of people, they've been writing me saying, gosh, I love Rare. I love top-down shooters. I love airplane games or whatever. Like, how did I not hear about this title? It's kind of one of those games that not a lot of people know about. And that's why I wanted to do a review of it and educate everyone on it. It's a great, great game by Rare. Just a wonderful game. It's hard as hell, I'll tell you that. And it doesn't even have an ending. It's just like, when you beat the boss, it gives you your points, and then game over. That's it. I'm serious. Go watch my review on it.
Those are the good old days of video games, eh?
Yeah.
No cinemas, anything. It's just like, it's over. Okay, start again. Or
thank you for playing.
Yeah. Some of the Rare, earlier titles are so hard. It's crazy hard.
Yeah, for sure. Like RC Pro-Am, I played a lot of that. Like, I don't even know if that game ends. It just keeps going and going.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are what I've been playing recently. Some gems from back in the day for sure.
One last game I wanted to mention. Have any of you heard of? I think I talked to Johnny about this game. Have any of you heard of that new PC game, Amnesia: The Dark Descent?
It looked very cool. Yeah, you sent me a video of that. That looked really interesting. But you only showed me the one level going through that sewer, and you're shutting the door behind you every time. I was like, well, that's interesting. Yeah,
it's some people know it. Like I have this. I can't really play a lot of the newer survival horror games. Like I don't know. Despite being a big horror movie watcher, I love horror movies. I don't have a problem watching those, but just like games like everybody's like, play Dead Space. It's like, I don't know. It just looks so damn creepy, But back in the day, I didn't have any problems playing, the original Resident Evil. So I don't know what the hell ever happened, but I'm thinking of buying this game, and because it's the scariest game to come out in the past 5 years, and there's a lot of people that are saying it's the scariest game they've ever played, and a lot of people out there that play a lot of survival horror games and say that they never get scared, but they play this game and they have to turn it off because it's too scary. So I'm thinking of picking this game up and giving it a shot to try and crush my fears of survival horror games.
What bothers you so much, hey Pete? What bothers you so much about them though? Does they unnerve you? Like you're sitting in the dark and you're like,
you know what it is? Some people are weird. They're like, oh, I don't get scared in survival horror games because I have control of my character. I can control what happens. And in movies, I can't control it, so it scares me more. But I'm kind of the opposite. Movies, it's like, they don't really scare me. But games, it's like knowing that I have control of my character and I have to run away from these scary-ass freaking things that are chasing after me. It's like, I don't know, I just can't deal with it. I don't find, in Resident Evil 4, I didn't find it fun when I was getting chased by a guy with a chainsaw. Seriously, I was like, I was kind of freaked out by it. And I'm like, I'm not really having fun right now. So... Yeah. And I know I'm missing out on so many great games. Like, I can't tell you how much I want to play Dead Space 1.
I was going to say, you got to do Dead Space. Dead Space is awesome.
Yeah. So I'm definitely buying 2, so I kind of want to play 1.
You should play 1 just for the initial setup of the story. Yeah.
Yeah, but, if I pick a game to play, I think I'm going to buy this game and, try and set up a live stream of me playing it. It might help.
Yeah, I'll tune in because I don't have a PC, so that's the only way I'll be able to check that out.
Yeah, but basically how the gameplay works is it's kind of like an old school adventure game. It's all first person. There's no combat in the game where, for the first hour or so, you're basically just wandering around and, doing little bits and pieces of puzzles. But it's sort of like a H.P. Lovecraft kind of game where it's got that dark mythos behind it and everything. And later on in the game, when you finally do start running into the monsters, the whole objective is actually to just run away. And you're not supposed to look at monsters. You're supposed to avoid the dark. If you go in the dark, you start to go all crazy and start to zone out, and you can actually die in the dark. If you look at monsters, you actually die. So you're constantly running away from them. And there's always the fear of this unknown because a lot of the monsters that come after you, you don't actually see them per se. Or you're not supposed to. You're supposed to keep running.
You just kind of hear them coming because you show me the video and you're basically running through this underground sewer and you keep shutting the door behind you and something keeps hitting it, and it's like getting closer and closer and you just got to keep moving forward. I felt the intensity of it, but yeah, I'd like to see a bit more of it for sure.
There's a demo out for it, so I may try it tonight. Supposedly the game creator said the best way to play it is with the lights off and headphones on. So I may give it a shot, see how that goes.
You're going to have a heart attack.
He's trying to make his audience shit their pants is what they're doing.
Yeah. So maybe I'll give it a try by next week and I'll report back on that.
Hey, Craig, I have one last question for you while we have you on the show. What advice would you give to those who are looking to get into more gaming, doing videos, maybe starting a website? What kind of advice could you kind of share?
Well, here, I have a question to respond to that question. Are you looking to make money or are you looking to do it for fun?
For fun.
For fun, do it. I know that sounds like the most basic answer in the world, but just do it. I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't have time and I don't have this and I don't have that. And people make a lot of excuses, but if you just do it and you just put it out there and have no fear, that's probably the biggest thing. Have no fear, because the internet is a very gruesome place. There's a lot of kids out there who hide behind anonymity, and I say kids, I use that term endearingly, but there's a lot of people online that hide behind the anonymity thing. And if you can get past people, talking bad about you or whatever, then that's fine. The thing is, it's such a small minority of people. I mean, it really is. If one person says you suck, it's not the end of the world, because they're probably, they're just somebody who has low self-esteem.
They're the ones who are not making videos, right? They're the ones who are just typing, or you're putting yourself out there. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. Bingo. Exactly. Yeah. And you got to go out with no fear. And, I think something that'll help your videos be seen is a little bit of production value, kind of a different take than a lot of people. Going and being original. That's extremely important when you do things online, because there's a lot of people who do a lot of the same stuff, and you got to make your stuff stand out. But the biggest piece of advice definitely is just to do it. Get over the fear of any fears you may have, which, and just go about and use what use your knowledge, do some research and just have some fun with it. Don't take yourself too seriously, because, if you're just doing it for fun, even if you're doing it to make money, just have some fun, because people want to see your personality. They want to see your personality shine through. Just go have some fun. Don't take yourself too seriously and just do it.
Great. Yeah, for sure. Just do it. And you know what? If you are looking for money, the money will follow. If you're honest and you got a good idea and it's original and all that, I think that kind of stuff will come. If that's what you're looking for. Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. Well, it was great having you on the show. Thanks for your time, and it was a pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you, Craig.
Yeah, for sure, guys. You guys are a bunch of wicked dudes, and it's cool to talk to you. And I really appreciate you guys taking the time and all this stuff. You guys are really cool guys. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Best of luck with everything, with the shop, store, and website and everything.
And the game and the 1,000 other things. There's a lot
of convention and
yeah, for sure. Well, like I said, we definitely keep ourselves busy. So I'm sure you guys very much do the same in your neck of the woods in your day-to-day life. So thank you guys for the opportunity. I appreciate y'all's support, and we appreciate everybody's support who comes to the site, watches our stuff, and as always, if you guys want to contact me, you can email me at craig@screwattacked.com. It's I answer pretty much every email ever, so it's I do what I can. So
excellent,
awesome, Craig. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you.
Yeah, Johnny, Pete, John, Jason, you guys are all phenomenal. So thank you guys very much.
Thanks, Craig.
Okay, guys, so we're on the portion of our podcast where we answer you guys' questions. Just want to remind you guys, go into our website, allgengamers.com. You can also, go click, there's a link to our forums. You can go to peaksgameroomforum.com, and on the forums, you can post questions. So continue to ask us questions, guys. We appreciate it. We do read them all, and we'll do our best to answer them all. So I guess I will start, and my question is from NES Inix. And he asks, which iconic 80s phenomenon do you wish you had made into a video game, regardless of whether it was based heavily or only loosely on the original? We were lucky to get DuckTales, but what about Madballs, Mask, or Garbage Pail Kids? Well, I do know that Garbage Pail Kids was already released on the ColecoVision as a game, which is kind of an interesting game, almost like a Pitfall clone, kind of a fun game, actually. But I guess I'll just kind of open up to everyone here for this question. We can kind of all jump in. I would have loved to see, what's that game, that movie? I'm drawing a blank. Johnny, we had talked about the Japanese cartoon space.
Japanese cartoon.
Oh, shit.
So what Japanese cartoon?
You're going to edit all this, Jason, okay, please?
He had no editing. Now he does. How about we do that again? Just do that again, John.
Okay. No, what's that fucking thing called?
What, like
we're off to outer space.
Oh, Space Cruiser Yamato.
Yeah, but what's the version North
Star
American?
Blazers.
Star Blazers, thank you. Fuck a duck, dude. Okay.
Fuck a duck, screw a kangaroo.
Fuck a dog all night long. I want a dog inside of me.
Star Blazer. Was it Star Blazers, right?
I'm not editing the shit out of this.
Huh?
There's Japanese Star Blazers games or Star Cruiser Yamato. There's definitely there's definitely games.
Okay, well, I can't use that example. I'll have to use an example. Let me start.
There's nothing over in America though.
Are you going to start completely over or?
Just go with it. Just keep going.
No, we're not going. What?
This is real. This is more real. This is what. Yeah.
This is real life right here.
Real life.
Real life. Real life podcasting.
Yeah,
that's bullshit. Let me just add it right there. But no. Okay.
Gamester exposed for who he truly is.
Yes, he doesn't even know that the Star Blazers games over here. What's going on?
Star Blazers. Yes. Okay. So I guess there was a Star Blazer. So that was an epic fail on my end as far as an example. But I guess I'll open up to you guys. What do you guys think is the best? Or what game do you wish they would have made?
Well, the really funny thing is there actually is a Mad Balls game. I know it came out of like nowhere. I saw it like on joystick.com. It came out not that long ago on an Xbox Live Arcade. It's like, they take the actual Mad Balls, and I remember these things as a kid, the actual characters from that, and they put it into sort of this twin stick shooter. So, you move with the left stick, you shoot with the right stick, but you roll around as the Mad Balls with guns attached to them, and you shoot things. And so I watched a friend play it. Looked very mediocre, not worth a purchase. But there is, of all things, a Mad Balls game. Very, very weird.
You know what would kind of been a cool game actually back in the day was like remember those pound puppies, right? So like compare it with like 10 dogs. Remember like you make a Nintendogs kind of game, but with pound puppies.
Oh jeez. Only people in the 80s would appreciate that one though, eh?
Well, I don't know. Kids like animals. They like that.
Yeah. There's so many amazing old 80s cartoons. When you asked that question, I was like, oh my God, what could I answer with? Like Stereo Wasters, Sectars, Visionaries, all those terrible, classic old cartoons. Like, oh my God, there's so many of them. The GoBots never got. And a video game, I don't think. See, the GoBots are always in the Transformer shadow. It's so true, and all of that. So there's too many. Like a Mask video game, as you mentioned, that could have been cool.
Did they ever make a Thundercats game?
Thundercats game? I don't know.
That would have been epic, dude. Because Thundercats is one of my favorite cartoons growing up.
I never watched it much as a kid. I went to Hawaii, with my parents as a kid, and I remember watching Thundercats, and I was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool." But that's the only time I ever saw it.
I remember the intro for. You guys remember Thundercats, Jason?
Thundercats.
The intro was so epic, where they put all this production value into the intro,
over the top.
Yeah,
and then you watch the show, and then you're like, "Oh." But no, I mean, I really like the cartoon, but the intro of that Thundercats is so epic, and you're like, dude, this is the shit. This is awesome.
Okay, I got my pick. This is so for the classic 80s people out there. But the Galaxy Rangers. I would love to have seen the Galaxy Rangers a video game. And somebody on the forum, if anybody's listened to this and they remember the Galaxy Rangers, well, definitely say something. I'd be, there's not that many people that remember that cartoon anymore. But
was that a Canadian thing? Because I don't remember that.
No, it was American. It was. I think it was animated partly in Japan. I think the storyboards were done out here, and it was animated in Japan, or because you could definitely see the style out there. But you should check that out. Games, so just check out like Galaxy Rangers opening. It was a classic thing that I used to watch in like 1987. I used to be like, oh my God, the Galaxy Rangers is on, and nice production value, and it had actually a storyline that was mature. For an 80s cartoon. So that would be my pick. I don't know. What do you think, Jason? What a good 80s thing?
Well, speaking of balls.
Speaking of balls, yeah.
How about Pogo Balls?
Pogo Balls?
It's a toy. Kids' toy.
I remember those.
Remember? It's a freaking ball with like a ring on it.
Yeah.
And you get on it and you hold it together with your feet and you freaking jump. Dude, I jumped all across the Northwest on that fucking thing.
Dude, how about a skip it? Remember skip it?
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my.
Dude,
how about, I got another one. How about freaking roller racers? You remember those?
Yes.
You sit on it and you got a handlebar right there. Oh my gosh. You got to be like, a little person to sit on it because it's so small.
Oh my God.
Just a really quick plug for a website I think you guys would enjoy. I know I mentioned to you guys on the podcast, but retrojunk.com.
Yes.
Check it out.
Yeah,
they have like commercials from like 80s, 90s, 70s, even like commercials. They have movie trailers like of toys, this random shit, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
So retrojunk.com. Check it out.
I played some stupid games in my day from modeled after toys or something, but Pogo Balls would be the cream of the crop. I mean, I can't think of a good concept for that, but I would love to see it just hopping around.
I got to talk about Pokeballs. I remember that thing. And I was just like, it looks so fun in the commercials. And then I remember going down the street to like a friend's place and they had one. I was like, yes, I get to try one. And I'm jumping up and down on this thing and it's so much work.
It really is.
My legs are aching and I'm like, oh, I feel sick afterwards. I'm like, what was the fucking point of that?
I don't know if it was just me. Maybe like I was a fat ass or something. Well, I know I wasn't, but but I always bottomed the damn thing out. Was it just me, or did you bottom it out too? The ring would always hit the ground. I'm like, this thing doesn't bounce. Put more air in it, and then
bounce it.
Put more air in the damn thing.
It'd be like a liability. Sorry, it'd be a liability if it did bounce. Kids would be flying through the stratosphere. I don't think so.
I had moon boots. You guys remember moon boots?
Oh God, yeah.
I had
similar thing.
Similar thing. They're these things you put on your feet with like almost like a trampoline to your feet.
You
jump, and it was just ridiculous. And I'd always fall over and get hurt. And
it was like rubber bands, like industrial strength rubber bands, and totally.
They would never release stuff like that now. There'd be so many liabilities back then.
Oh hell no.
Yeah, that's funny.
Real quick,
I think we answered that question pretty good.
I actually did a search on Wikipedia real fast. There actually is a Thundercats game released in 1987. It's called Thundercats: The Lost Eye of Thundera. It's a side-scrolling video game that's based on the animated television series Thundercats, obviously. The game was published in 1987 by Elite Systems for home computers, including the Amstrad, CPC, Amiga, Atari ST, Commodore 64, and ZX Spectrum.
Jesus. I remember playing it now on the Commodore 64 growing up, and but didn't have a home console to it, though. That'd been a better, if they had a home.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But thanks for looking that up, Pete. I appreciate that. So I think that was a good answer to that question, huh? That was pretty fun.
Yeah, I think we owned it.
Yeah. Awesome. Who's next? Pete, what is your question?
I don't even know.
Well, I'll use this one here. This one's not a bad question. Chrono Sausa, I guess his name is Chrono Sausa. He says, "Hey there, do you think there will be a cartridge console ever again, or will Nintendo DS be the last one?" Now, the 3DS is actually cartridge based, so I guess I'm almost like I'm 95% sure it's cartridge based. But I guess that would be the last one. Do you guys think? I mean, is everything going to be CD based or?
Sorry, that's a really interesting thing that I hadn't really thought about what the media for the 3DS would be. Of all things that I was thinking about with that system, wow, it's like so that new 3D Super Street Fighter 4 is on a cart because that looks pretty good.
Yeah, I know. I never thought of that myself. Huh?
Wow.
Yeah, and PSP is compact disc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think honestly, guys, in the future, I think it's all going to be digital downloads. I mean, whether we like it or not, and I even think CD or Blu-ray formatted games are going to be the thing of the past. 5 years.
I agree with you. I think the physical medium is going to be gone. They're going to just get online. I think it's going
to take longer than you guys think, though. It's
totally.
Take a while.
Well, yeah.
We've already talked about this. It's going to take a restructuring of the internet because nobody's going to download a 60-gig game. But imagine this. What if you could stream a game? What if there's a way to stream
on live?
Yeah.
OnLive is that service that's actually supposed to be coming out soon, and they recently just announced that there's not going to be a subscription fee for it monthly. But that's basically what it is, from what I know. I haven't looked into it too much. Wow. Where you can either use it on your PC or you can hook it up to your TV, and you can actually stream full-fledged games.
Wow!
You can watch people play games. Yeah,
that will work.
They had that in PAX, Johnny. Actually, they had a big booth there, and my brother actually signed up for it and stuff. It's pretty cool, but. You obviously need a pretty powerful PC and a strong connection to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it streamed pretty well.
Interesting. That's interesting. Thought about that. But yeah, I guess to that question, Nintendo's the one who seems to really be holding on to cartridges. So maybe this is the last of the last from Nintendo. Maybe it will be all downloadable after this. You're right. Who knows?
Yeah. I remember the controversy when the Nintendo 64 was cartridge based, and people were like, "Oh, it should be CD." Remember that?
Oh God, yeah. I had arguments with my friends at school over it.
Yeah, we all talked about that back in the day, didn't we? For sure.
Cool.
All right. I guess I can get on to my question here. It's from IGO. It also looks like he goes by Kickflip Jr. His question is, what is the strangest peripheral in your video game collection? Yeah.
You know what? I'll start this one.
I know mine. Go ahead,
really?
John.
Okay. Mine's a real quick one. It's the Phantasy Star Online keyboard controller. And yeah, I think you can see it in all the videos that I put up. It's always kind of there. That's the weirdest one that I have. That's the one I get the most amount of questions about, strangely enough. But it was odd then. It's odd now. But it's still kind of cool. It's an interesting concept. So that's my interesting one.
Oh, I guess I'll go with mine. First thing that comes to mind is, I know I've mentioned a couple times, but the Miracle Piano for the Nintendo Entertainment System. It's a learning tool that you play piano on the Nintendo Entertainment System, and actually, it's a legitimate keyboard, and it actually works really well. So that, and probably the Nintendo Power Glove. It's kind of interesting peripheral. How about you, Jason?
Yeah, I'd have to say the Power Glove, probably the most messed up thing. I also have a keyboard, a full keyboard for my Nintendo 64.
Wow.
Gosh, I can see the box now too.
What the hell would that be used for?
I know, no, it was it was something specific. It was for a online service that never made it to see the day of light.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, and it's something I came across in
worth a lot
in a thrift store for like 99 cents, but it was
a prototype or something.
It's God, I now need to dig out the box. I have the box and everything. It has the keyboard. It has like a modem. It has everything. It's
do a video for that.
Yeah, I probably should. It's insane.
You should.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah. So
subscribe to EMU Review so you can see upcoming video of.
Yeah, whoop.
That's awesome, man. One thing that just came into mind. I have this thing that is for the PS1 where it's just like this vest that you put on. And it's like when you're playing first person shooters and it vibrates and whenever you get hit and stuff. It's pretty cool.
No way.
Yeah.
What's it for?
It's for the PS1. So it's like this vest and there's these different things like these little packs that are in these pockets and they vibrate. So when you're playing a game, you know how like your controller vibrates?
That could be misused.
What's that?
I said that could be misused, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Johnny. That vest is a little low.
Yeah.
It's
not pants.
It's supposed to be on your chest, damn it.
It's really wild. I picked up at a used game store on one of my trips for work, and I think I paid $10 for it. I was thinking about doing a review on it soon. But
best $10 you ever spent in those lonely hotel rooms on a night.
Yeah. I'm actually wearing it right now.
No, you're going to say, I love this game.
And I'm playing the game. How is it, John?
Anyway, I could say something really inappropriate.
Yeah,
but,
let's not.
We'll keep it clean. Pete.
All right, so mine's not going to be like some crazy controller or something like that. I actually want to warn the listeners, if you're easily grossed out, you may want to just not listen for the next minute. Because I'm serious, yeah, it's pretty messed up and disgusting.
Now they're really going to want to listen.
Yeah, all right. So I used to go over to my neighbor's house, and he had a little brother. Some people might have heard this story before. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it.
This is starting off really bad.
Yeah, Tales from Pete Door. Here we go.
Yeah, so we're playing. I'm pretty sure we were playing like GoldenEye or something, and playing with my friend and his little brother. Little brother gets sick. I brought over my N64 controller, and he decided to throw up on my favorite. And it was a third-party N64 controller. Keep this in mind. It was not a standard one. It was like a strangely shaped one, sort of like a weird dog bone shape. It was like really awkward, but it worked. Like for a lot of games, it was a lot better than the standard. He threw up on it, and it got inside the controller. And I was like, shit. So I made him. He cleaned it off as best as he could. And then I made him. His mom was like, "Oh, we'll pay you for it. You'll get a new one." So the poor kid pays me like $20. Instead, mean person as I am, instead of going out and buying a new controller, I go out and buy Pokemon cards with the money. But needless to say, okay, here's the grossest part. It was a clear clamshell controller, so you can see in the controller. And till this day, I don't know, it must have been maybe 11, 12 years or something like.
Still there?
More like 10 years. I still have this controller, and inside the controller you can still see the old crusty dark red, dark orange throw up inside.
You dirty bastard.
Dude, that's disgusting.
I don't know why I haven't let go of this controller.
You can't let it go. It's part of your youth.
Like,
dirty
seriously, like, I have so many memories. I have so many memories with this controller.
You should sell it on eBay and say, like, it's a limited edition.
I'll sign it. No, I'll sign it and throw it up on eBay. See how much it goes for. Yeah. No, but isn't that disgusting? Like, I just think about it. It's still sitting over there. It's not like a huge glot. It's not that bad inside, but you can still see it in there. And I still can't get over the fact you just didn't buy a new one, you dirty bastard. But my Pokemon cards,
where are your priorities?
It reminds me of a story like way back in the day. My brothers and I were we were playing Nintendo, and we had a huge fight, and they were throwing like bananas, like literally. I mean, like we had a food fight in the game room. And to this day, I still have some Nintendo games that have banana stuck to it, like on the outside of the game.
What are you guys doing when you were younger?
And I can't get it off. Like there's probably like 5 or 6 Nintendo games like for the NES I own that have like chunks of banana, and they're like it's like hard on there. I can't even scrape it off.
Okay, well, I got a story as well. I wasn't going to bring this up on the show as well. I actually have a dead body stuffed into a video game cartridge.
Yeah, one time I was in the bathroom going number 2.
Yeah.
I mean, am I going to have to make something up here?
Yeah, exactly. The dead body in my video game cartridge, I've revealed it tonight.
Pete, that's insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's tough. That's one of a kind.
Pete, throw it in the garbage. I'll buy you a new one for Christmas.
Yeah.
I'll go on eBay tonight. You tell me the bone-shaped controller, I'll find it for you.
You totally should auction it off, though.
Oh, yeah.
Sign it and auction it off.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
If I mentioned it on my show, it would get a lot more recognition. Maybe one of these days. Who knows? Door auction, the throw up control.
Pete, you can't let it go. That.
No, I'll hold on to that for a turn.
Oh my God.
That's great. What a wonderful way to end this podcast. That's awesome. I love it.
Thanks.
And that's basically how it went. Like, seriously, if you're going to throw up, fucking move the controller, okay? Why are you going to throw up on the freaking thing?
Usually there's a little preemptive. Usually it's like this. Okay, it usually goes... Hey, Pete, I don't feel real well.
Yeah.
See, usually there's a little preemptive, but it just came right out, huh? Just projectile.
I guess, yeah. I kind of remember where I was sitting in that moment, and
see, there was plenty of time there to move the control. Plenty of time.
No,
he's gonna puke.
He's done it on my controller. It's in my controller.
And he wasn't like 5. He was probably like 7 or 8 years old, I think, somewhere around there.
Wow.
He's probably hanging in your closet now.
You're old enough to know to not throw up on people's controllers.
That's one of those, well, that'll do it moments, It's like when I brought my Wii home the release night. I waited out all night for it. Brought it home. And I was playing with all my buddies, and we were playing what were we playing? Yeah, bowling. And we didn't know at the time you had to, I can sit on the couch and do it now. But we were all standing up, getting the form right, throwing the bowling ball. Well, my friend had the controller in his hand, even with the wrist strap attached.
Oh my God.
And he just winged that controller. It broke the wrist strap. That's how hard he was throwing it. Hit the ceiling, took a chunk out of the ceiling. Sheetrock came down, everything. I'm sitting on the couch. I look up at him on my brand new Wii. I just brought it home.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, that's one way to do it. Everyone leave. I sent everyone home. All my friends, I told them to go home. Party foul. It's over.
That's hilarious. That reminds me of a website, Jason, you should check out. It's called We Have a Problem. It's WII, Have a Problem. And it's all these pictures and videos of people with Wii remotes and nunchucks and like going through TV screens, black eyes.
God, yeah.
That website came out like 3 weeks after the Wii. I remember all of a sudden, boom, that hit, and that became like a big viral thing. Everybody was going to it.
Well, what's interesting is when that happened, people were doing that all the time, right? Because their wrist straps were really weak. I bought it on release date. If any of you guys have a Wii from the release date,
yeah, I do.
The wrist straps that came with the console And even the controllers that were sold in stores were really thin, right? The straps were really thin. So then Nintendo, like a month later, sent out replacements. Do you remember this? If you went online and you could get like 3 or 4 for free, they'd just send them to you, right? But the next day, went on Nintendo.com and their support and ordered like 20 wrist straps just for the hell of it to have on hand. Because I'm like, if this is going to happen, I need to have more. So I have 20 sealed original wrist straps, the thin ones that they deemed, unsafe. So I'm like,
they're
damn,
crazy.
I know, insane. Yeah. Anyway, little story time.
It's funny. This podcast is going to come to an end, and everybody's just going to be talking like Craig from ScrewAttacked. We had him on, which was super awesome. But everybody's going to be talking about all that goddamn controller repeats.
The barf joystick, the barf stick.
Yeah. It'd be funny, Pete, if you just put that in one of your hide it in one of your videos, and see if people like recognize or know.
I would say that would be a good image for the podcast if Craig
we didn't have Craig on.
Totally.
Yeah.
Unless I take it and kind of superimpose it on top of the ScrewAttacked logo, but that would be messed up.
Yeah.
That would take the wrong way.
The audience would be puking at the thought of it.
Look at that control.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for joining us here on All Gen Gamers, episode 10. It's 10 already. Can you guys believe it?
I can't believe it.
Thank you to Johnny, John, Pete, and of course, Craig from ScrewAttacked. It was wonderful having him on. Definitely look forward to the future. Maybe have him on again. Everyone, please go check out allgengamers.com. You can interact with us there on the forums. Remember to ask questions. You can also subscribe to us on iTunes and make sure to rate us on there. We appreciate that. We read every single one of them. So, from All Gen Gamers, we're signing off. Take care, guys.
Take care, guys. See you later.
Later, guys.
See you guys.